and so excited. And as she walked out the door, that means I can start decorating for Halloween.
Yes. Wow.
Yes. And I do. Of all the people.
I love it.
Of all the people that would be fired up would be Chris Tibbs. That's why I asked you to say.
Basically what I need to do is thank Starbucks for bringing back pumpkin spice
don't
in August.
Encourage this kind of behavior.
Yeah, I'm going to thank them
do you remember
right
your
now
outrage? Do you remember your outrage from them releasing? Because you know they do it like 2 days into August just to get all this reaction online on Twitter and stuff. Get people angry that they have pumpkin spice in August.
I'm just shocked she has to decorate it all. Every day is a horror story living with Scott.
Dude, now let me ask this. You know, it's almost like a pregnant lady. They say right before she's going to give birth, she starts nesting. She nests right before the holidays. So all of a sudden I noticed, like, we had this stuff in the hall. We'd clean out my daughter's room and all been empty. The big living room that I used to do all the remotes from, vacuumed and carpet shampooed
just ready
down
to
there.
roll.
All of a sudden, things are starting to get, there's space in my house has started opening up. All of a sudden I'm getting FaceTime messages from Home Depot. What do you think of this skeleton?
Wait,
because they're also up at Home Depot.
Don't you have enough stuff already? Really? Like,
I'm going to contribute.
Rob, that's where you and I are on the same team right here. Yeah, I have enough, honestly, probably for all four of our houses. I mean, honestly, that and Christmas. And go back what he said when we were doing
Hey, I'll take the hand-me-downs. I'll take the hand-me-downs.
Can I say something?
Yeah. I got a lot of areas that I need some hand-me-downs right now, okay?
You laugh, but when Josh bought his place, boom, guess who the decorator? All extras and hand-me-down. I brought a big box into work of Christmas stuff, and now Josh puts it up every year.
I want to dive into this a little bit because my mom used to decorate for everything.
I'm already wearing your hand-me-down shoes right now. I mean, might as well take your...
I gave you good shoes.
He's just outfitting all of us.
Dude, it's awesome.
My mom used to decorate for everything. We would come upstairs on St. Patrick's Day, and it would green plates and green pancakes and like little frilly, whatever, tinsel-y green, just for St. Patrick's Day. So my mom used to decorate for everything, and I swear it has made me averse to it. Like, I do not put up a single decoration in my house.
Love thy father and mother. You don't really go into
I love them. I just take no joy from hanging stuff up in my house.
Well,
so I want to know, as some, like, when you have celebrated holidays as single men, do you guys decorate? TP, have you been decorating?
I've never had to go down that road before. We will see. We will see what happens.
You think you're going to throw up Christmas decorations this year? Like, does that excite you? Does that make you happy, excited?
I love Christmas. Now Halloween, I don't know about that one. I love you, Warden. You're awesome. I'll take your hand-me-downs, whatever Scott doesn't let you put up anymore. But no, I don't know about that.
Scott, in your any single days that you had, did you decorate just for you?
Yeah, being a single guy sitting in a one-bedroom apartment, newly singled guy with a one-bedroom apartment at Christmas, and you got a Charlie Brown tree, basically.
right. There's no need.
That's usually how it works.
That first year,
super sad tree.
It's a super sad, super sad tree.
Demps?
Yeah, I'm decorating for everything.
Do you really? You have like boxes of decorations?
I don't have boxes of it, but
you will.
I will. I certainly will.
I will. And this way, now you see why I had Demps around, because I knew him and Warden are lockstep in this decorating. And tomorrow's September 1st.
Sure is.
Now, going back to that tree, he talked about it was during COVID. We had that year 7 Christmas trees up in our house. 7.
Well,
6 of them.
Sounds like you're super rich.
No, because here's the secret. Here's what she does.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Halloween. January 1st or whatever, and they still got to get rid of all this extra surplus and stuff, and now all of a sudden that $300 Christmas tree is on sale for $69.99. Boom, it's in the house.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got 2, what are they, 12 or 15-foot trees that are up in the corners in the one room. But the one year, I go something stupid, because she'd taken all the trees down except the one right in this one room where we filmed tons of stuff that year. Remember, we filmed tons of stuff there. And I go, we got to just keep this tree up, because I'm an idea guy. I should be sitting in, somewhere in Madison Avenue making about 1.5. Just coming up with ideas. I don't implement them. I just come up with them.
How many Christmas trees because you buy one? That's how.
Yeah, exactly. I said, we ought to make it just a holiday tree. And I hadn't got tree out of my mouth before the warden goes, great idea. So that year, and for about 2 straight years,
this was the best part.
It was dressed up for Christmas. Let's go in order. What comes after Christmas was Valentine's Day. It was dressed up for Valentine's Day. It was dressed up for Easter. It was dressed up for St. Patrick's Day. It was dressed up for 4th of July.
Yep.
Labor Day. I mean, we went boom, 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 boom. Cinco de Mayo. We had a Cinco de Mayo tree.
Yep.
And that thing stayed decorated for 2 straight years. And then all of a sudden, when I noticed the Christmas stuff was going on, and we still got Christmas in February, I'm like, hey, might be time to take it down now if you ain't keeping up with this.
There you go.
But anyway, so the greatest and I would say worst, but weirdest day, and because it woke me up, like you said, Tyler. It's still August, pumpkin spice. And I go, yeah. But it's always their best seller. But I go, yeah, that's a little soon. And then now I can dress. Now I can decorate. I can start decorating for Halloween.
I wish we had a
so
camera
thank you,
on
Starbucks,
Debs.
for all this.
I wish we had a camera on Debs because he's just giving like full air
happy.
fist bumps right
Yes,
now.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Because before this moment right now, I was basically just railing against pumpkin spice in August because next year it will be in July. And then the year after that it will be in June. And then we'll just put it on the menu and leave it there. And it's just pumpkin spice year. But if it results in this.
Yeah. Well, it did today, September or August 31st.
It's like a double star day at Starbucks.
Last story to hit it. So I walk out the front door with the warden today.
Wonderful.
And we have a 2-story house. So the second story is way up there. Right?
I'm going to contribute something to this.
Because he's super rich.
No.
I mean, to Tyler's point, I don't even have 7 rooms in my.
Like in order to fit 7 trees in one home.
Oh, no.
We're not talking about a 2,000
I'd have to
square
put
foot home
one in
here,
my bathroom. I'd have to put a couple in a couple different rooms.
It was like trees decorated that you couldn't move. There was a lot. Trust me on that. But we get out. I walk out the door today. We look up the second level, and there's the roof line. I mean, it's way up there. She goes, "Hey, let me ask you a question. This is August 31st. You got a ladder that can reach that?"
She's already got plans. You're going to come home to us just all the decorations.
First of all, I mean, as you get older, I mean, the ladders and heavier, you're like, the ladders got, come on now. I mean, especially if you got one. You probably need a 30-foot ladder.
Yeah.
To get up there. And I went, no,
we
sure
don't.
don't. So, last comment. I guess I'll just have to go and rent a lift.
The warden's the best.
Just hire somebody to do it.
No, because now that's the real cost.
If you got 7 Christmas trees, you can afford to hire somebody to get up to the second floor.
But no, you miss the point. Y'all think that means money. That has nothing to do with it.
I think it's festive. I'm in. I'm going to contribute something. Can I contribute something?
Well, I give you my Venmo.
In spirit, all the Halloween stuff is
Dude,
up now,
I've
right?
already shut down 2 different purchases already from Home Depot.
Yeah, you've already. He's already vetoing things.
Yeah, I've already vetoed 2.
Tyler's face is just like, I can't believe the discussion.
One is a
I thought this could be like a 30, 45 second one.
No,
Boy,
no.
this is the real deal now.
Yes, it's
now
real.
you know why I
It's
told
really
you
real.
to keep him in here because
yeah.
he knows. You guys don't know yet. He knows.
Yeah, and I'm happy.
Oh, God.
Thank you for keeping me around for this because my day is made. It's made.
You text the Lord and say, "Great job."
I will absolutely do that.
And you know what she used to do this early? She'd start in the bathroom, the half bath downstairs, no one hardly goes into. Boom, decorated. And then you don't notice
Just start small.
And then,
I haven't been in that one in a few months.
And then boom, this one, and then you finally go in there. You got a leak. You don't want to go upstairs. You go be.
Oh, when did that
Wait
go
a
there?
second.
When did this? She made a mirror
Why is there a ghost on the
with
wall?
a ghost that looks like a ghost is appearing through the mirror that you spray paint. You do some stuff and whatever too. You walk in there taking a squirt and you look up and you go, it started.
All right, hit us up on the text line. Let us know if you are a decorator or not. Dems, thank
Bye,
you
guys.
for hanging out.
Thanks, Tim. Sorry to
Because
keep you.
there's no way we would have made it through that 13 minutes without you. TP and I would have just been.
No, but I need support.
Yeah.
I get it.
I don't think you guys don't. I think you guys kind of agree where I live.
I think they've got groups for this.
No.
I mean, I'm not talking to the warden. I'm not talking to her.
Halloween
They do have
Anonymous?
groups of this, but it's not the kind you're thinking about. It's the kind that gives each other ideas.
Right.
Dibs, I'll tell you the WW what it is so you can get on
Oh
it.
boy. Oh, all right. Well, thanks for hanging out, Dems. We appreciate that. We didn't get a chance to give out the keyword, so let's do that now. We are sending our listeners, you got a chance to win a trip for two, airfare for two night stay at Resorts World and Casino, and a ticket to the Luke Bryan Show at the Resorts World Theater by listening each day for keywords during the week. We'll give you the keyword, you text it in, and you have a chance to win a 303 gift card, a 303 Sports Grill gift card.
Which is a good place, great food. They do nachos like in a big cookie pan.
Oh, really?
Like it comes out in this giant cookie pan. It's awesome.
So you can get $50 if we'll pick one winner today for that, and everybody will be entered to win the grand prize. The word for today is rain. RAIN, rain. Text that in, and you can get entered to win. And on the other side, a little spiciness in college football going on right now. We'll talk about that next on Altitude Sports Radio.
What up, guys? Josh Dover from my friends over at Superbook Sports. It's where I do all my sports betting, and I encourage you to check them out as well. What are you looking at? I mean, they got everything covered. You a boxing better? You an MMA better? You get down on the golf, which I think is one of the easier sports to bet because you simply just pick a winner. If you have any betting questions, I'm always here to help you out. Tweet me, Instagram, whatever it is. I'm at Joshua Dover on Twitter, at Joshua Dover Radio on IG. Always tag Superbook CO and download their app for your smartphone. They have the Colorado Teams tab, the featured bets tab with a fire emoticon that looks so awesome right there. Your Colorado Teams tab. It's all available for you right there on the Superbook Colorado app. What are you betting today? Put a parlay together. Let me know what you're looking at. Only bet what you can afford to lose. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-522-4700.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Nice pick on the music, Nelly. Steve Nelson sitting in for DT. I'm Rob Trujillo sitting in for Josh Dover. And my guys, we've made it. No more 0 week, no more preseason football. This is week 1 of college football. And there are some games tonight, man. It starts on Thursday. It goes through Monday. Like, they did not take any breaks. And I'm thrilled because even tonight there's, I don't know, back-to-back viewing for you. Kent State UCF is nothing to sneeze at. Nebraska, Minnesota, and then Florida at number 14 Utah tonight.
Wow.
That was one of the best games of the year, I thought. Last year when they played down at the Swamp, it was a great game down there. I'm super excited to see it tonight.
Yeah, man, good to have it back. It's hard to believe you just get stuck in this like no man's land of preseason football, and it feels like it's never going to end. It's an eternity. Even the Broncos right now, with cuts being done, we're still stuck in this awkward eternity until the actual first game next week. It's just next week, but it feels like forever.
You didn't have that bye week, right?
No.
In between the preseason and the season.
No. Yeah, I mean, we had final cutdown day, and then we went straight into game prep mode.
Yeah.
I mean, we were playing 6-7 days later after cutdown day. So, no, we didn't experience that. But those are some good games. Number one, I'll be curious to check out Nebraska. Obviously, CU's got them coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So be interested to check that out. Florida, Utah, that's always good. I'm going to be curious what ends up happening to Utah in the next couple of years here, because they had such a good program with all the changes going on in college football. Will they be able to hold that together? I think it'll be an interesting one to watch.
They're going for a three-peat in the Pac-12.
I know.
And I feel like just nobody talks about them ever.
And it was UCLA and USC, and it just shows you money. It's not about because it used to be. Let's be honest, and there wasn't hardly any realignment until Mike Bone took CU to. They were one of the first. I guess Arkansas left the Southwest Conference, but I think they knew that it was about ready to go away. But there wasn't a lot of movement. And if it's so, you wanted the best teams.
Yep.
Now it's best market.
Now it's about TV. It's about where can we get more eyeballs to watch these games.
Well, and so, I don't know, TP, to your question, do you think they're going to be able to go in and dominate the Big 12? Or are they just going to be – because the quality of football in the Big 12 and Pac-12 I feel like was similar.
Yeah, I mean, Big 12 is a step up. It's not like a night and day step up from the Pac-12, but it's definitely better football. There's no question about it. I mean, Pac-12 is the worst conference of the Power Fives, just plain and simple. So will Utah be able to do that? I don't know. See, my question is more so, did they just find like a niche here in the Pac-12 of areas to recruit, of kids, of high schools that they get connected with? And when you move conferences, one of the most difficult things for these schools is now you got to change your recruiting basis. Yeah. See, Colorado, when I was there, we had the Cali boys and we had the Texas boys. That was 95% of our team. We would literally do games, Cali versus Texas, like in the offseason. We would do stuff like that, right? Well, you move from the Big 12 to the Pac-12. You're like, okay, well, we're going to focus more on the Cali boys now. Well, now Colorado's going to focus more on Texas because you got Dion, his connections down there in Dallas and everything else. I don't know. Like, what is Utah's recruiting base?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Is it mostly California kids who now might not be interested in going there because they don't play California schools anymore?
Yeah, maybe, but at least you're still closer to the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
And everything else. I just know from when Arkansas moved right before the Southwest Conference blew up, but went from Southwest Conference to the SEC, Arkansas was the only non-Texas school. And so I would say their big canvas was Texas, and part of the selling part was just what you talked about, Rob. Listen, you're going to play half your games are going to be in Texas, and the Southwest Conference, all those games are going to be televised, so your folks that live in Beaumont or Houston or Dallas or in surrounding areas, they're going to be able to watch you every day and go to four of your road games. And listen, to be honest with you, it's not that far of a drive up to Arkansas, not as far as you think. They went to the SEC and they lost the Texas pipeline because, see, Texas was still there and A&M and all these other schools that were good. They couldn't recruit Texas. So now they've got to compete with Alabama in Louisiana and Florida and in Alabama and Tennessee. And now you're losing some of your Tennessee guys. And if you notice, Arkansas's had a jump the last 2 or 3 years. Well, guess what? A&M came back in, and now you're going to have Texas come back in and Oklahoma come back in. and you've opened just like Tyler said about the Big 12, you just opened up Texas now to Arkansas again, and they've gotten better because of it, I think.
Well, and with the way that, the
Nobody was talking about Arkansas, Scott. Nobody was talking about Arkansas.
No, but I think it's a good
I know,
point.
and I know you
It's a
have,
good example, though.
but I know you haven't. He didn't follow well.
Oh, people say I don't listen very well. I don't know. I wasn't
Yeah.
paying attention.
Yeah. But that was an example of when you move, and what you just brought with Utah. Now, where does Utah? In fact, we could probably look at the roster. Where have their body of their teams come from the last 4 or 5 years?
I haven't looked at it, but I can all but guarantee you it's the majority California.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now moving the Big 12, does that open up? I mean, you have some Texas guys? You got a choice to go to Oklahoma State or Utah.
Right.
Do you have a chance to go to Colorado or Utah?
Mm-hmm. Right. And to the California guys that you might have had an easier time recruiting because you were winning the Pac-12 year in and year out. Now, is that less tempting to come? Because, you're not going all the way to the East Coast, but you're not playing any games. In
So the
California.
4 holdouts still in the Pac-12, though, are Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State.
Yeah, I'm looking at their roster. There's a couple Texas guys, but there's a lot of California.
Besides Big 12,
Well, it's Pac-12. Yeah.
There's rumors that Stanford may go independent.
Which you can make the argument they could academically. Obviously, that makes sense. They don't have the national appeal. It works for Notre Dame because they don't need anybody. They've got the
They
fan
recruit
base.
the world because
They
there's
recruit
Catholics in the world,
right?
yeah.
And it's not even so much about the recruits as it is TV money. They don't need a conference to create their TV money.
Right.
They're making like $60 million per game. As an independent school, I don't see how Stanford can make that work.
So this is a larger conversation that is something that would take place over a large number of years, but just something that I've thought of and I'm interested in your guys' take on. There are a bunch of these schools that are very good academically, that are not good at football. And I feel like at some point in this rat race, they're going to start getting kicked out of conferences. Like Stanford is being left out
I don't
now.
think there's as many as you think, though.
Vanderbilt,
I mean, go down. They're not good at football. They've never been good at
That's
football.
what I'm saying.
That's what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying. They're good academically, but not good at football.
Yeah.
And so is there a possibility that all these schools maybe say, hey, we're going to build our own conference that's like a Division I Ivy League, if you will, with Northwestern, Notre Dame. Well, Notre Dame would probably stay independent, but Northwestern, Vanderbilt, I'm trying to think of school. I had more when I first.
But
thought
again,
of this,
I mean, if you think about it from their point of view, you're Vanderbilt.
Cal, Stanford.
What is better for you as a university? Being bad in the SEC or going to some upstart league with a bunch of smart kids that aren't good at football where there's not going to be any TV money?
Stay in the SEC as
Of
long
course.
as you can. And there's history.
You'll stay in the SEC as long as you possibly
And I
can.
think with the SEC, remember, I mean, in this SEC, of course, they got Texas and Oklahoma to commit last year. They were quiet during all this rush, this go around, right? As far as getting new pay, they got, we're okay. We got 16. We're okay.
But I don't think necessarily, Tyler, that they choose to leave. But do you think that a moment comes that these super conferences say, we're tired of Vandy losing 56-0 to Alabama. We can give that spot to somebody else who's more competitive.
Oh, it could
and
happen.
kick them
for
out.
sure.
No, because you know what you want? You want your top teams at the end of the year 11-0 or 12-0. You don't want.
That's a good point.
Don't bring in one more good thing. So now all of a sudden, maybe instead of having one or two representatives all the time in the postseason play, you might lose a number. Right?
That's a good point. You don't want somebody to be 8-3.
Well, you got three teams this
but
year.
To your point, listen, it's inevitable. There will be a Super League formed. Will it be in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years? There will be a Super League formed that is going to be the best of the SEC. It's going to be the best of the Big Ten. And they're probably going to separate themselves entirely from the NCAA. So I do think that comes in time, but it's probably not on the doorstep like a lot of people think it is.
Well, talking heads, I haven't heard this from administrators, but talking heads have been saying that about the SEC for a bunch of years now. Hey, just be your own league. Don't listen to the NCAA.
They could.
And this before the NILs. Let's start paying our kids. Let's start doing this, and we'll do our own league.
Yeah.
And our championship. And you know what? Everybody's still going to watch. You're going to see an Alabama LSU game on a Saturday night. Football fans are going to watch that game. Yeah. I mean, Georgia, Alabama in the SEC championship, they're going to watch that game.
But to that end, you also don't want to be the bad guy. Because if you don't let the NCAA be the bureaucrat, bad guy, you can't transfer, you can't do this, this is a violation, then the conference has to do it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that though.
I don't think the conference wants to.
Yeah, they do.
Do
Yeah,
they?
Hell
You think
yeah.
so?
Hell yeah. They want it. At some point, they will get sick and tired of abiding by the NCAA rules when the NCAA does nothing for college football.
What?
This is not basketball.
Or the players.
Or the players. This is not basketball. College basketball needs the NCAA. College football doesn't need it at all. And eventually what's going to happen is they did this so backwards with the NIL stuff where players – what should have happened is you should have given a salary cap to each conference that's going to be different, that each school's got a specific amount of money that you pay the players directly. And now you control the anarchy of what's going on with all the transfers and everything. But they did it backwards with the NIL stuff. And at some point, there's going to be a league like the SEC that is going to say, forget it. We're going to come up with our own rules. We're just going to pay our players.
Someone's going to regulate it.
Yeah,
Well, and I would argue this. Eventually, somebody's going to say, in basketball, because the NCAA tournament is a huge moneymaker, we don't need you either. To be real honest with you, you don't affect us during the regular season. We have our leagues. Mm-hmm. We can talk to, hey Rob, can we play you guys in a home and home? University of Houston and Alabama, you play us. Okay, sure, they get it done. And then you have a CBC college basketball championship, and you still invite the best 60 teams. Problem is that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is.
That means you're going to have to get people together within your conference or within all the conferences, a board of 3 from each conference going, okay, we're going to have screw the NCAA. We're going to get CBS to pay us the $1 billion for 10 years or whatever it is, and we'll disperse it amongst ourselves, and we're going to run this. But you're going to have people that have to work.
Well, but talking about
NCAA is on the verge of going away.
Well, and part of the reason that they are is because of some of the decisions that they've made, which we talked a little bit off air about Tyler Brown and the situation he's got up at CU. Tyler, do you want to spend a second on that? Or
well, I don't know if we have the audio from Joel Klatt. Joel's much more eloquent.
Awesome.
Let's go ahead and play the audio from Joel Klatt because he'll do it a lot better than I can.
Tyler Brown was denied his immediate eligibility for his second transfer despite citing mental health reasons for his transfer. Now, you could say, Joel, everyone uses mental health. Anyone could use mental health. Okay. Tyler began his career at Louisiana Lafayette. They had a coach named DJ Looney who Tyler was very close to. In fact, as Tyler put it, had become very much a father figure to him when he didn't have many father figures in his life prior. DJ Looney died in front of Tyler on the field, tragically of a heart attack. Tyler could barely go on. Didn't know how to function. How would you feel if your father figure died in front of you of a heart attack? Maybe for some of you, that figure has. Can you imagine the heartache and the pain? Would you want to go to class? Would you want to play football? So he transferred. So he couldn't do it. Couldn't be there anymore. It reminded him too much of that tragedy. So he transfers to Jackson State. Luckily for him, he found a coaching staff led by Coach Prime that welcomed him with open arms at Jackson State. So there Tyler is. And he finds another coaching staff. He's like, man, again, I've found this father figure type of environment, and an environment in which they did not look down on him for opening up about the struggles he faced after he watched DJ Looney die in front of him of a heart attack, and how hard it was for him just to go back to playing football. Then he suffers an injury. When he was away from football, his mental health struggles increase because now he no longer has that outlet to work through some of these issues.
No, you can go ahead and
He
pause
gets
there.
healthy.
So
he gets back.
the story here is that the NCAA is so backwards. They're so crooked. They have no freaking clue of what they're doing, when they're punishing kids and why they're punishing kids for their eligibility, when they're eligible, when they're not. The rules now are the first-time transfers are eligible to play day one, right? Whereas previously it did not used to be that way. If your second time transfer story gets different, you have to apply for eligibility. You have to be given the grant. You have to be given the gift of eligibility from the gods that are the NCAA. Have to hand that to you. Right. I mean, we're letting kids leave left, right, and center to go to different schools for various different reasons. And the NCAA is so blind to common sense that they cannot apply eligibility to a human being that needed a figure in his life, found a father figure in his life and the coaching staff at Jacksonville State, and then stayed true to the coaching staff that was finding him out of a dark hole in his life. Right. And now he has to sit out because he's a second-time transfer.
They give out hardship waivers all the time.
And that's what this would be.
And that's exactly what this would be. Listen, Deion left. The head coach of the university left. And the main thing people talked about when they talked about this transfer portal is, why do coaches get to leave for bigger contracts?
Yep.
If a coach leaves, the whole program changes. You can't expect somebody to stay after the coach leaves.
Yeah, right.
And here we are exactly in that situation with a heartfelt story
every
from
time
this kid,
something like this pops
and the NCAA
up,
won't do it.
And unfortunately, it probably takes a bigger name than what this is. But at some point, there's going to be somebody that's big enough, popular enough, powerful enough that gets denied a hardship, that every time something like this pops up, it's just another reason why schools are sitting there saying, I'm tired of you, NCAA. I'm sick of it. We don't want you. We don't need you.
And I understand on one plane, the NCAA is thinking you don't want a portal eligibility guy going to 4 different schools in 4 different years. And we know this because we've worked with kids and they're saying, oh, he's too mean. I'm going to go over here. Well, he was mean too. You see grass is always greener in the other pasture until you get over there and go, oh, no, it's not. And so you don't want the guys who just want to willy-nilly, whatever. So I get, but on one hand, why not? But I mean, I get why you have that in there. But as you just said, Rob, the hardship part of it is, listen, these coaching staff might have helped save this kid's life. If you want to be real dramatic.
And if you listen to the kid talk, I don't think it's that insane to think that.
So almost saved this kid's life. So go ahead and do it. And Joel went on and said somewhere, it's somebody making a decision, sitting in a cubicle, paper came to his desk, stamped it, boom, 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 denied, boom, denied, and just doing that and not paying attention. And there's no investigation into it, right? Just never look and go, no, this is just Deion. In fact, I looked at it. This is where Deion's name may have even hurt him not getting a hardship case because of all the changeover and everything else.
Absolutely.
I took it over. Oh, Deion ain't getting another one. No, denied.
Yeah,
as opposed to the kid, which last thing, go back and look at the history of the NCAA. Started by Teddy Roosevelt and was basically because kids in college football was getting taken advantage of and dudes were dying on the field in like huge numbers. Right, like in 1 year they had like 22 or something like that in a college football season. Back when there wasn't many colleges playing football, and Teddy Roosevelt was one of the spearheaders that said, "No, we need an organization that looks out for the welfare of the kid." That's how it started, kind of like teachers' unions. That's how it started, and now it's developed into no. Let's look out for the universities. Let's look out for the revenue. And the kids are just a byproduct. Right?
And don't get me wrong, Tyler Brown's a good offensive lineman. And yeah, the Buffs need offensive linemen right now. But that's not what the story's about. That's not why you give this kid a hardship waiver. He's got a story. And I saw somebody tweeted at Tyler and said, there's free mental health resources at Jackson State. Why didn't you go to those? And he outlines how I went to this counselor who sent me to this doctor, who sent me to this counselor, who sent me to this doctor, who said you need to be on this medication. And guess what? At the end of that run, none of that was free anymore, right? Like the original counselor was free, the original doctor was free, and then they sent me to other people and told me to get medications that are no longer free to me. So who are you to say how to handle my mental health? If I think my best thing is to follow this coach out to CU, then let me follow him out to CU. And it's a really frustrating scenario.
Yeah, and listen, and there's, like I said, for every story like this that they just deny, there's other stories that are probably, not as graphic and not as big and say, this guy, he said I was going to play more and I didn't. I'm going to leave again.
Of course.
Okay, well, guess what? You can leave again. It's legal. You're sitting out.
Yeah.
And I understand that,
I
too.
think it should be as simple as this. You get one transfer that you're eligible unless your coaching staff leaves. If your coaching staff leaves, everybody's free game. Everybody's
I would
eligible.
agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. All right.
I didn't choose to go there thinking my coaching staff was going to leave.
And it totally changes the program when they do.
Yep.
You know. All right. There was a scandal in the NBA that ended with a resignation yesterday. We'll talk about that next on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Dude Sports Radio 92.5. It's Columbus, Hastings, and Dover. I'm Dubs, filling in for Dover. Or Rob Trujillo. But I just kind of want to keep the D thing going on. You know, keep it going. Yeah. All right, so a scandal ended yesterday very quietly and in a very strange way. So Eric Lewis was a referee in the NBA, and they found out had some burner accounts with some pictures that they're not like risque or anything, but like the questionable pictures of things like his family in gear for teams and kind of stuff like that. He also on these burners was
defending himself.
Yeah, and other referees, I guess is the best way to put it. He was really kind of going after people who went after referees. And so instead of completing this investigation or releasing findings on this investigation, Eric Lewis yesterday resigned, and the NBA said, oh, it's all over. And so I turned to the bane of NBA officials, Scott Hastings, who keeps them all in check. And I say to you, what's that about? Like, why is it all of a sudden the investigation is over because he decided to resign?
Nothing to see. Well, it's nothing to see.
Yeah,
here. It's as simple as that.
It's the old Wizard of Oz. Don't mind the man behind the curtain. Oh, I am the great and all-powerful Oz. That's the NBA. And they're pulling the strings and doing everything else. Eric Lewis, in my opinion, was an average at best official anyway, and they took him off after they learned all this stuff for the finals. They thought of him as one of their top officials if you're doing an NBA Finals game. That's a joke, in my opinion. And what they found out, and I was telling you, Rob, once he did all this stuff, they ended up finding the burner counts. They ended up going back and finding social media stuff where all of a sudden he's got his whole family wearing Boston Celtics garb. If you remember the big giant brouhaha where LeBron's crying on the floor when he goes in for a layup, he gets fouled, gets his arm grabbed in Boston, no call. Patrick Beverly brings the photographer to the official and show him, see, there's
the camera thing was him?
That was that game.
Oh, man.
That was Eric Lewis in Boston with burner counts and with his family all in Boston Celtics garb. That was Eric Lewis. So then it blew up. Imagine if Boston beats Miami like they're supposed to, and now you still got this guy who's going to do a Boston Celtics finals game?
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
Yeah.
The NBA probably, and it'll never say, Eric, you need to quit. We're going to make sure you're still vested in your pension. You're not going to lose any of your pension. And here's $150,000 on the door on the way out. Don't say anything to anybody. Sign a non-disclosure agreement. Don't talk. Bam, 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 bam. Here's $150,000. Pension's still good. See you later.
But why give him the golden parachute? Like, why? What does
because
the NBA
they've already
need to
had
do
a
to
betting
save face?
scandal, and one more big scandal like that makes them look bad.
It's as simple as that. Nothing to see here. That's the ultimate goal for any organization. The NBA is not unique in that. When you've got something that you don't want people to talk about, make it go away. Make it go away.
Right. So, it's all accused that they punched an NBA, and this is NFL. We haven't seen any video. And all of a sudden there's a video of him knocking out his girlfriend. And you're like, well, the NFL, they didn't have that video?
Right. Oh, no. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do in the NFL unless there's video of it.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's the bottom line.
But they knew.
They knew.
Yeah.
But this kind of goes to the same point. So you've got a referee who's got actual real life evidence I guess you can't say the tweets were evidence of doing anything inappropriate. It was weird behavior. It was unusual behavior to have burner accounts in which you're defending yourself and other referees. I'm not sure that the tweets themselves actually implicated him into doing anything wrong. But when you've got real life, actual things to look at, that's when all of a sudden it becomes a priority. We have to make this go away so that people aren't looking at the stuff that they can look at.
Do you guys, as ex-athletes, I don't want to accuse all officials of being bad. That's not what I'm doing.
No, you shouldn't accuse all, but you should still regulate and vet them every year, every 5 years.
Here's the problem. Listen, it's a tough job, and I'm not going to lie. Whenever you're doing something in real time and you don't have the luxury of now I know you can review and you can rewind here and there. 99% of the time, you're watching something in real time and you're making real time decisions. And human beings are going to make mistakes when you do that. But the problem
Also
with
called
referees, there you go. But the problem with referees is that there's no consequences for not being good at your job. And that's what bothers me the most. Like the NFL, look, it is the dumbest thing ever that you don't have full-time referees. They should be doing this year-round. It should be the only thing that they're doing every offseason, trying to get better. And you know what? There should be consequences when you're not good. There should be relegation. There should be promotion. You should be sent down to the NCAA. You should be brought up from the NCAA.
XFL, USFL.
Or XFL, USFL, whatever it's going to be. When I don't do good at my job in the NFL, guess what happens? I move cities. I look for a new job. That's what I'm doing. And when referees don't do good at their job, they get handed another game next Sunday.
One, there's no, and what's the word? That I'm losing a word here. Clarity. There's no openness.
Transparency.
Thank you. There's no transparency to the process, really, to what these guys go through.
Nobody knows the grades. Nobody knows how they perform behind the scenes.
NFL brought in Mike Perea, who was the head of officials for a while, and I think he does a great job. And even him, the first couple of years, still kind of protected the fraternity. Mm-hmm. And as he got away from it, realized, no, that's a bad call. Shouldn't have blown that whistle. That should be overturned. It wasn't. And also getting critical. Well, now everybody else, now the NBA, we're going to put officials. They're still working for us, though. Yeah. They're still working for us. So they almost never say anything critical by the officials. The game in the I think was it the finals, Jimmy Butler kicks Aaron Gordon in the cojones and called a foul on Aaron Gordon. They challenge it. Even the announcer's going, what? He gets called for the foul, and you can tell Butler's shooting at a 90-degree angle. My foot goes at a 45-degree. That's a natural shooting motion. I've never seen anybody shoot naturally like that in my life. But they side with the call on the floor, and even the announcers, I'm doing radio, but even the announcer going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How is that overturned?
They were all over him for that.
There's no transparency. They protect themselves too much, and that's the fallacy. And people get on me about hating officials, and I don't like them. But I grew up in a league when it was us versus them. You were playing the opponents, and you were playing the officials. And so there wasn't no buddies. We didn't go out to dinner with these cats. There was guys you liked because you knew they were fair and honest. They didn't care if they were reffing a game while you were visiting Boston or you were doing a home game in Detroit. They didn't care. They're going to call the game straight up. You like those guys, and you know who those guys are.
That's what I was going to ask you. So do you know each official? Like, I'm not saying that he's like fan of a team, but if an official thinks like, oh, well, LeBron James can pull that off because he's an athletic freak, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Mm-hmm. Do you know, like, well, this guy likes Duncan, this guy likes James, this guy likes Magic. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
especially young guys coming in love the stars. That's first and foremost, and I don't think that'll ever change because they're obviously being an official. You had to be a basketball fan, so you had to grow up as a fan of somebody, right? Being an official of the NFL, are you taking that just for a job, or you probably were a fan of the NFL? Probably had your favorite teams and players and all that stuff too. That's fine. There's a passion there, and you want to be involved in it somehow. But the problem I'll go stay with the NBA. NBA, the stars have always gotten the benefit of the doubt. I mean, all the way back to '82 when I got in the league. So I can't talk before, but I'm assuming before. Stars always got, because guess what? People buying tickets to see the stars, not the 12th guy.
Right.
And so if it's a bang-bang play, you can almost bet the bang-bangs happen. If one's involving a star, the other guy's getting the foul call, whether it's good or not. That's just kind of how it was. But there needs to be more transparency. They had the Donahue thing go on where he still didn't admit to really betting. He's actually said that there was more than me just betting. There's one official who's still a good official in the league who had 98 calls to Donahue when Donahue was going through the middle of this and basically said, oh, well, I didn't do anything. But you called him 98 times? Mm-hmm. Come on now. Mm-hmm. They got to have transparency because now, especially in the betting world, you can't tell me NFL, NBA, there ain't dudes with burner accounts and what is it, the IPLs or whatever you put on your phone so they can't track you?
VPNs.
Yeah, IPL.
Yeah. I think that's a beer.
IPA. VPN, you're going to tell me there ain't guys with burner accounts of VPNs that guys can't track them that aren't on some sports book and doing stuff?
So we would get on Saturday nights at our team meeting, we would get a scouting report on the referees, and they would tell us who these guys are. You got Fred Bryan. He's your umpire this week. This guy, man, he's got the most pass interference calls in the league this year. You got Ed Hockley. He's going to take all of Tyler's money because he always finds them. I hate Ed Hockley. My wife.
Son's a head official.
Referee. He cost me about $20,000 over the course of my career. But anyways, you would get legitimate scouting reports on these guys that you would be told what they do. Now, what do you do with that information? It's tough. I mean, so they tell you this guy likes to call holding penalties. Well, you try to be cognizant of it. You try to be a little bit more aware. Some guys are going to let me hold as long as I'm inside the chest. This guy, I can't do it. You try to be aware, but at the end of the day, you just got to play the game. And as a player, you're reacting in real time to the things that are going on in front of you. Now, what I think would be awesome that will never happen for the NFL in particular, one of the coolest things XFL did was the transparency of the conversation of what's going on with the referees. They zoom in on it. You hear the conversation, but the NFL will never do it. Because
or the NBA.
They don't want the fan to listen to these refs say, hey, I called the touchdown there, but I couldn't see. Did that ball get in? Did you see it? You didn't see it either? Oh, well, we got two of us didn't see it. The other guy called his touchdown. Okay, well, let's all put our hands up. Let's call touchdown right now, right? The NFL doesn't want that, but it would be awesome as a fan to experience that. And honestly, I think it would give more credit to these refs and to these umpires because you would see as a fan, you know what? They can't see it all at the same time, and they're doing the best that they can.
Yeah, it's a tough job, no doubt. It's just
we're going to talk about this later in the show because I won't fight anybody who said it's a tough job. Freaking everything's a tough job.
Sure,
you're getting paid, compensated well for that tough job. Be more than adequate at it.
But I think if you had the transparency, people would be more understanding that it's a tough job. But everybody makes mistakes. Stop thinking you're infallible.
You know what the top veteran officials make in the NBA? We looked it up last week, right? Like $650,000 a year.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And they fly first class, and you stay a nice one. Come on now.
Yeah. All right, a world record set just north of the border yesterday. We'll talk about that next on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Hey, this is Tyler here for my friends over at Phil Long Ford. Guys, every single car that I bought since my rookie year has been from Phil Long Ford in Denver. And I keep going back because I always have a great experience. I know that car shopping can feel a bit cumbersome at times, but not at Phil Long Ford because they've got the largest inventory in the state of Colorado. Whether you're looking for a used vehicle or a new vehicle, they've got the largest selection and they've got the best deals. And you can check out all those deals online at phillongdenver.com. They've got incredible inventory arriving daily. They've got cars and trucks on the lot for you to choose from, or you can always go online and get exactly what you want. And check out their incredible line of electric cars, pickups, and vans with the latest technology. They've got the largest selection. They've got the best deals. They're going to get you in. They're going to get you out. And once you buy a car from Phil Long Ford, you will be a customer for life because you will realize that it is an experience that is different than other car dealers in Colorado. Go check them out online at phillongdenver.com and let them know that Tyler sent you on over.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. I'm Rob Trujillo, filling in for Josh Dover on PhD. Fellas, of course, here riding along, and we want to let you know that the country music superstar Luke Bryan has announced the final shows of his record-breaking Las Vegas headlining engagement at Resorts World Theater. The 5-time Entertainer of the Year has fans on their feet in the high-energy electric performance that features only in Vegas production elements. Luke Bryan Vegas final show dates are August 30th through September 9th. And December 29th through January 6th. Tickets on sale now at rwlasvegas.com. But you could win them here. We want to give you not only tickets to the show, but also a trip for two, including airfare and hotel. And all you got to do is text in a keyword. The keyword for today is rain. So text in that keyword. You'll also be entered to win a $50 gift card to 303 Sports Grill. And we'll get you entered into the grand prize drawing as well. Okay, interesting night north of the border last night. Very cool scene at, of all places, I can't even say it, it hurts me, Nebraska. The University of Nebraska, who have an incredible women's volleyball program, put 92,000 people into their football stadium to watch a match. It looked electric up there. I tweeted out some tongue-in-cheek stuff, but it's a very cool moment, especially for women's sports.
Oh, dude, it was absolutely awesome. Are you kidding me? I mean, I have no problem giving them credit where credit's due. You got 92,000 folks that showed up to watch a women's volleyball match. Incredible. Look, as much as I hate the red, and I do, I hate the red with a passion, that fan base knows how to show up and show out. They know how to treat their... Now, listen. What the hell else is there to do?
That's what I said.
I mean, what else are we going to be doing on a Wednesday night out in Nebraska? There's not a whole lot going on, but they show up and they show out, and it was a cool event. It was a cool event.
I said that on Twitter, got a little bit of hate for it, and people said, "Well, what was there to do in Denver last night?" I'm like, "Well, the Goo Goo Dolls are playing at Fiddler's Green." And
dude, did you see those? By the way, did you see those guys?
Ooh. Goo Goo Dolls?
Ooh,
no.
Oh, dude.
What's that?
Did you see those guys?
Yeah. Was it good? Was it bad?
70-year-old dudes with plastic surgery. Ooh.
But at least something to do on a Wednesday night in Denver. But no doubt, still a cool
And I think
moment.
they were the OAR. I like OAR a lot, too.
They were, yeah. Somebody I did see tweeted that out and said NBA Finals games should be played in football stadiums. So what do you guys think about them doing like an NCAA Final Four type thing for the NBA Finals? I feel like
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I want basketball to be played in its element.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not a huge fan of the outdoor hockey games. I get it. It's cool. It's kind of unique to look at for 10 minutes. But then you're like, wait, the viewing experience sucks. We're 100 yards away from the ice right now. We can't see anything that's going on. Just play in your element,
well,
man.
You know what the cool thing about outdoor hockey games is
the traffic,
the television.
Yeah,
the watch on TV, it gives it a cool look.
Right,
being out there, that is cool.
But it sucks for the people that are watching.
Yeah,
they're paid money to attend,
and they pay a lot of money. Now, I mean, some of the cool games when they were in Chicago and there's a snowstorm or Buffalo. I mean, those are cool outdoor pond hockey, Mystery Alaska like moments.
But especially basketball.
No,
you cannot ask.
But I think
you cannot ask people to play a game outdoors.
But do you remember
that is meant to be played indoors?
The Nuggets did it. Remember Nuggets doing it?
Did they do it on the Air Force carrier or something?
No, Nuggets did it in Palm Springs at the big WTA tennis center that they had there, where they have the Chris Everett Invitational every year.
Yeah,
played it there. It was great. Believe me, boom. And everybody forgot. Oh, by the way, and they started like at 5 or 6 or whatever. But everybody forgot when the lights go down the desert, it goes from like 75 perfect to like 50.
Yeah.
And they said dudes were like freezing by the end of the game because it's pitch black, dark out. And it got cold. Yeah. So, listen, I don't like the NCAA games in football, indoor football stadiums.
I wouldn't like it for championship games. Like, I think that's ridiculous. I don't mind it for the NHL as much because it's a random game in the middle of January, and if the ice isn't the best quality, then whatever. You know what I mean?
They did in Reno. Remember?
Those Tahoe games where that ice was a hot mess.
Well, they had to change. They had to stop the game and then put it back that night because the ice was melting.
Yeah,
because it was too sunny.
Yeah.
But this leads up. I got those out there. The 92,000 people, women's volleyball. When you're right, Nebraska's women's volleyball has been great for the last 20 years. I mean, they're always one of the better teams. But I wrote you guys a note today, things that bother the out of me in sports, in game, not to play, in game. Have you ever noticed if you watch a game, every point, hey, come on.
all the handshakes.
And they come over and huddle. Win or lose a point. They all huddle.
Hey, don't dab me up when I lost the point.
And I'm like, do you got
to make adjustments, Scott.
Do you have to come together? They ain't just, hey, good job, good effort, let's go. Every single point, both teams.
Yeah, but they got cool handshakes and stuff, like two up high, one down low, three
Okay, hold
side.
on. I'm gonna just pump the brakes on you for a second here, because between every football play, what happens?
No, that's a huddle.
No, they don't do that in football.
But
but nobody daps it. Like, okay, they might give you a chest bump after a sweet play or something.
I'm just saying they huddle
walk
up
back to the huddle. I'm not pinching your rear end.
Every play.
I saved that for the locker room after the game.
That's football. But they do it now. But they do it college
That's in the
basketball
showers,
too.
boys.
They'll do it in college basketball in between each free throw.
Yeah.
And
little huddle, talk about it.
Well, I mean, now everybody's got to dab up. I mean, how many times you see Joker? Okay, two guys, he dabs, and he's waiting for somebody behind him. Nobody will just stick his hands out and just go flipper, like somebody's going to dab. Why? Just play. It's volleyball. The people that are making the calls are the ones up front, or what is it, Lambier or whatever, the middle person with the different jersey on.
Libero.
Call play. What is it called?
Wow.
Barrel.
The libero.
Libero. There you go. You got the L right, and you got the barrel right. Libero. There you go. But every single point, you're huddling. Every single free throw, you're huddling.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean,
Football.
football is
Hey,
what
if it's
they
up
do.
to Peyton Manning, you never huddle.
That's true.
You guys don't watch women's beach volleyball?
Scotty.
Yeah, and they huddle too.
They can high five and dap up whatever they want.
Yeah, they huddle too.
Easy.
Whoa. We got to get Marlo on and ask him, why do they get together all the time? Every single point. Can't be changing plays and it's that quick. Come on now.
No, they got a 1 or a 2. They put behind their back.
Coverage.
But that's not in the huddle. That's when they get to their positions.
Yeah.
Speaking of games on TV, we were talking about the NHL a little bit. The nationally televised schedule came out for the NHL yesterday, and leading the way across the country is your Colorado Avalanche. A total of 17 games that can be seen nationally, 15 that'll be on ESPN and TNT. And I think it's an exciting time because it's one of those things where you kind of get the gauge of the rest of the country. How interested are they in your team based on this? Right? Of course, we want to watch all the games, but the fact that, the rest of the country still thinks that the Avs are going to be ruling with an iron fist, even though, Vegas won the Cup last year, and yet it's still the Avalanche who have the most nationally televised games of anybody. I think it's kind of a cool thing. No? You guys got nothing for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for them. You got nothing for that?
Excited for them? I mean, excited? Yeah, let's go.
Hey,
As long as when you watch those national
the Broncos
games.
had as many national televised games yesterday last
go
year
so
as
hot.
any other team. How'd that go?
Yeah,
for
we were praying for him to take them away.
Yeah.
Please flex us out
Why
of this
do you
game.
gotta be so okay? All right.
Well, and
No,
hey,
I mean, it's
I don't know.
It's cool.
Hey, Nuggets ended up with what was it, like 30 games that are going to be on national television between NBA TV and the other games. They've got 30 some games. That's respect.
Go ahead, Nelly. Do your
Just
promo
do me
here.
a favor. When you watch all 17 nationally televised games, do yourself a favor. Mute whoever dummy national commentators they have and lock in your radio with Connor McGahey. Then you get the best of both worlds. You get to watch the TNT cameras with Connor McGahey on the play-by-play. That's the move. Make sure you get that synced up.
I thought I'd at least get a comment out of you guys for that, but I bring that up to bring this up. They're doing a special night on October 24th where all 32 NHL teams will be playing. None of the games will start at the same time. So they're all split by at least 15 minutes, most of them a half hour. And what they're going to do is they're going to make a whip around show on ESPN similar to an NFL Red Zone type. And so I don't know. I mean, I know you guys watch Avs games. I don't know how many other games you watch around the league. I'm wondering, does that interest you at all? An NFL Red Zone type whip around show that's jumping around to all the different games in the NHL.
No,
I
because
can't tell you
what
a lot of the hockey players' names.
what makes the red zone unique, and I'm not even a huge red zone fan. I'd much rather just watch a game start to finish than watch red zone.
Me too.
But what makes the red zone appealing and unique is that somebody's in scoring position every single time they change the channel.
Yeah.
Every single time they flip to somebody. How do you do that in hockey? How do you do that with the whip around in hockey?
My assumption is that they would do more like recap. You know what I mean? Like it would be like, oh, someone just scored. Let's take you and show you, Tampa Bay scoring a goal. No. Nothing for it, Scott? You'd just rather sit and watch the full
I'd
game.
rather watch the game, and I will sit during the season and watch a TNT national game or an ESPN national game. I like seeing, Boston taking on Carolina. I'll watch a game like that, or watch the Rangers play Tampa Bay. I find that cool. I kind of like it, and I'll stick around for the second game too.
Do you do the same thing for NFL? So if the Broncos are the late game, are you guys popping in the red
watch,
zone? Or?
No,
if they're the 2:00 game, I'll go back and forth on the first two games. If one goes to break, I'll go flip it to the other one. If one's just a horrible game, I'll stay on the other one. But I'll watch both those games. I'll watch all the Bronco game. Then I'll get something to eat, take a squirt, get some pajamas on, and get ready for the last game in the evening. So, and I'm not a red zone fan either. I don't care, but I don't bet. I'm not a better.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I'm watching a game, and I get it, I'm not the average fan here, but when I watch a football game, what intrigues me the most is the chess match, the philosophy about what you're going to do, what you're going to choose here. Oh, I just saw that wide zone. They ran it 2 times in a row. Watch this naked bootleg. He's about to pop up on the next play. Like, I like going through all that and seeing the process of the game. Is it fun to see highlights? Sure. I watch ESPN.
You can watch those late Sunday night.
I watch Sports Center. I watch the top 10. I enjoy that stuff just like anybody else. But I enjoy watching the football game.
I'm with you, and I like watching. You see a big run off in between the guard and tackle, and you're going, dude, how you going? And you're watching all of a sudden the linebacker get caught up in the wash and getting sealed off, and then all of a sudden a 3-yard gain, which should have been probably, turns into a 18-yard run. And you're like, dude, look at that linebacker. Watch this guard get out there and not only stuff his guy inside, the center got his nose in front of him, and now watch that other guard able to get the middle linebacker and seal him. Whoop, and there goes the hole right there. Kick out block by the left tackle. Whoop, I want to see that. Poor cornerback's going to come over, gets run over, at the 5-yard mark, and then he's gone for 17-8.
Yeah,
I love seeing stuff like that.
Cool too.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm rather into that but I don't bet. I'm not a gambler.
Yeah.
And I think this year I'll be on one. I think I gotta go to a meeting tonight, but I'll be in one fantasy camp.
Gamblers Anonymous.
Yeah, I'll be in one fantasy league. No, I'm going because Mama's going to the soccer party, so I gotta go to the meeting because we're doing this fantasy league together.
Oh, so she entered a fantasy league and said to you, "Hey, I need help."
It's me and her, and so I will go to the meeting tonight, and then. But I don't know.
Yeah, I got you. All right, some smack talk went viral earlier in the week from Aaron Rodgers, but there's an interesting story behind it. We'll talk about that next on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Goo Goo Dolls.
I feel like this is a shot from Nelly at the Goo Goo Dolls.
You were talking about him. You're right. This is something you could have done, is gone and seen their naturally beautiful faces at Fiddler's Green last night.
Hey, go look at Steve. I think it's on Instagram, Steve Mix. He got to go backstage.
Oh, was Steve back?
Yeah.
Steve Marshall?
Yeah, perks of being the PD type guy.
Yeah.
Is backstage doing a meet and greet with him.
There you go.
Post a picture. I'm like, hey.
You're so mean, man.
I was waiting for the one dude. I don't know their names. I was waiting for the one dude. If you had audio from him, he was in to go, you rang.
Oh, that's Adam's family. Was that is that Lurch?
Lurch.
You rang.
Go look at that. Go look at that picture. Go look up Steve's Instagram.
Stop going after my Buffalo boys, the Goo Goo Dolls.
Big
nice.
Buffalo?
I love them.
Wow.
All right. So earlier in the week, Aaron Rodgers went viral. In Hard Knocks, there was a moment when one of the defensive ends came after him super late. I mean, it was really like 5 steps he comes after him. And he just kind of gives him a little bit of a shoulder, just kind of let you know I'm here thing.
It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing.
Just let you know I'm here.
Yes.
Kind of. But Aaron Rodgers was like, come on, man.
Jihad Ward was his name.
Yep.
Number 55.
And Aaron Rodgers was like, come on, man, that's like 5 steps. So he shoves him back.
Come on, show some respect, man. Show some respect. Don't you know who I am?
And the guy was like, I don't know who you are. He's like, I don't know who you are. And they started jawing back and forth. It was kind of funny. It didn't feel like a big deal to me. But Hard Knocks, of course, then makes it look like, oh, and then he went out and threw a touchdown because of that afterwards.
Well, and if you look on that touchdown thing, Ward hit him again.
He did.
I mean, he threw him and came back and popped him. So I said, okay, props. I'll give you props. Now, he's a journeyman D end. I mean, he's been around 5 or 6 teams or something like that.
So Ward comes out yesterday and says that he's upset with how it's portrayed because the reason that he was going after Rodgers is because Randall Cobb made an illegal block a couple plays beforehand, and Aaron Rodgers was like making jokes about it. And so he's trying to defend his guy a little bit and just kind of give Aaron Rodgers a little bit of a shove. And he goes, hey, man, if that's the way they want to play, that's the way they want to play. And I was sitting there and I'm like, Aaron Rodgers is like, I gave him something that he can't come back from. I don't even know who you are, which is like, okay, smack talk, but not great. And I was like sitting there like, the smack talk isn't even that good. You know what I mean? Like of all the smack talk that you could highlight in Hard Knocks, like that's the point that you really want to be like, oh, these was the greatest. And I'm sure you guys both have stories from your playing days about, even if you're not the trash talker, at least somebody talking smack to you, don't you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, Trent Williams was the bane of my existence. I played right tackle with Trent. He was left tackle for 4 straight years. And that dude he can't shut up. He just cannot ever shut up. He's like the king of football. He's God's gift to left tackles. Like, he can't do anything wrong. Like, he doesn't even try out there. Like, he barely puts out any effort, and he just dominates everybody. And he is trash talking everybody. I'm out there trying to survive. You know, I'm out there just trying to hold on to dear life. The last thing I'm thinking about is trash talking out there. Trent would bury his dude about 12 yards away, come running over to the right side, decleat my dude, and then he'd start trash talking to him and like nonstop I'm like, Trent, just shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. like I got a good thing going over here. And he'd get my dude all fired up. And I'm like, Trent, I got a good working relationship going on over here. I don't need you getting my dude all fired up over here.
By the way, No Dumb Questions comes up in 5 minutes. I forgot to mention that. So if you want to send in your No Dumb Questions, you can do so on the text line or the Twitch chat. But Scotty, I mean, you played with the bad boys. You got to have a trash talk story for me.
Nelly, look at Nelly put up on Twitch. So look at the guy on the left.
You're killing me.
Is the guy on the left?
Holy cow!
Did I tell you?
Oh my God,
Nelly!
Listen,
stop.
I
taking
did
shots at the Goo Goo Dolls, man. Stop.
No,
Scotty, I hate to say it,
I
but you
did
nailed
not
it.
realize what Scott was talking about here. That dude, that is not a human being. That is whoever that singer is for the Goo Goo
He
Dolls.
can sing now.
That is not a real life human being. That is a doll. That is a manufactured doll.
Yeah, he's a Goo Goo doll.
They
You're
cannot
right.
make a facial expression. That is unbelievable. Stop. Stop with the Botox.
You can go to twitch.tv/altitudesr and see Johnny Resnick standing there next to Lurch because Scotty likes to take shots, and Steve Nelson likes to oblige.
And I was just doing the voice. You rang. I mean, that's what he looked. Does he not? Is it? Can you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
I don't know about Lurch. I'm not sure I see that one, but I'll give you that dude looks like something's wrong. There is something wrong with that.
Anyway, back to the trash talk.
Back to the trash talk. How am I supposed to unsee that? I can't unsee what I just saw right there.
Job, Nelly. Trash talk. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, basketball, is great for it. Everybody does it, whatever.
You don't have any trash talk stories, or just none you're willing to tell us?
No, I mean, I've always said, people didn't realize it. The biggest trash talker when I played was Bird.
Really?
Oh yeah, he was the biggest trash talker. Yeah, he killed you.
I'm too young. Like, I never watched him actually play. I just watched highlights.
No, he was the king of trash talk. Even if you saw that 4-part series on Bill Walton, and he was in there, he's killing Bill Walton. Bill Walton stuttered. He's making fun of Bill Walton stuttering. I mean, his own teammate. He crushed people. We got in a fight my rookie year. I'm in a dress coat. Fight breaks out between Tree Rollins and Ainge right over there. Everybody's in the middle. And I guess Bird's got a hold of Neek, and Neek's got a hold of Bird on the edge of the pile, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We come back timeout, and Neek is mad. I mean, he's MF-ing Bird. And Neek's a rookie that year, too. He's just going off. What, Larry Bird? And what'd he say? When they were down the pile fighting, Bird's got a hold of me, and he's sitting there looking at me. I wish that was me and you. I wish that was me and you down there. I'd be kicking your, So when he came back over, it was just angry that Bird was saying stuff. No, everybody.
Now Hastings wants a piece.
I think.
No, all right, two things. Number one, Philip Rivers is the greatest trash talker of all time.
And never cussed.
And I stand by that. I legitimately think he's one of the greatest trash talkers of all time. Never cursed, never said a bad word, never shut up. Some of my most fun times were from my rookie year in the NFL, just seeing Jay Cutler and Philip Rivers. They would not stop talking to one another. Philip Rivers is running down the sideline, pointing at all of us. Jay's giving him the old, your number one finger. Incredible, fun times. You want to just pull up some highlights of Philip Rivers trash talk, and I guarantee you there's thousands of them on YouTube. It's hilarious, man. It's absolutely hilarious. Then I've told this story before, but the greatest trash talkers that I will never forget, the University of Kansas fans, man. I mean, they were brutal. First off, there's only about 10 people in the stands, so you could hear absolutely every single word that was being discussed. You knew everything that was going on behind you. And I was a backup offensive lineman with another dude. His name was Jack Tipton, big boy. And some of the hecklers from Kansas, they go, "Hey, Tipton, I got a tip for you. Get your fat ass on a bike." I'll never forget it, dude. They were incredible trash talkers. I mean, terrible football.
Well, here's the thing, too, and the king of trash talkers, whenever you do it, is, and that was part of our MO with the bad boys in Detroit. We had you beat coming to the game because you were automatically scored. We were going to cheap shot you. And all of a sudden, Lambeer, all you had to do was just talk trash to a couple of people, say some things right there. Now, all of a sudden, somebody's swinging. All of a sudden, their starting power forward centers kicked out of the game, and Lambeer's still playing. And Lambeer was a lot better player, and people realized. So the key to the king trash talkers would get into your head to take you out of your game, and then all of a sudden you're not playing to what you're capable. And that's what Phil Rivers did to Jay Cutler.
And you got to be the first guy. Right, like it's important that you're the first guy that does it, because the second guy is the reactor is the problem.
I think often. Are you talking about for getting in trouble?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, Mike Shanahan.
Well, the second guy always gets caught.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now this is no bounty gate deal here, so nobody go trying to cause a scandal.
Oh
here.
boy, what?
But Mike Shanahan, he used to pass out $100 here and there. If you would start talking to somebody and you would cause him to get a personal foul, he would cost you $100. Like, hey, man, if you want trash talk, you get them to get a personal foul. Here's $100 for you after the game.
Free 15 yards for us means $100 for you.
I mean, we're not hurting anybody, nothing like that. But if you can get somebody to lose their cool and get a 15-yarder, sure.
The greatest trash talk evidence in football that no one knew what was going on was on a Monday night game in Kansas City. Denver Broncos are going, and they're trying to ice the game. They need a couple first downs to ice the game. The late, great Derek Thomas is all of a sudden jumping off sides early and blasting Shannon Sharp. First down. Bim, bim, bim. Goes down. Does it again. Blasts Shannon Sharp. Necessary roughness, whatever, 10-yard first down. Now they're moving down in the scoring position. They're going to ice and win the game. He does it, I believe, 3 times. Stupid plays. Denver goes on and wins the game, and it's in Kansas City on the Monday Night Football game. So I was doing the Shannon Sharp show, and we do interviews on Friday afternoon. So I go in for the next game to interview Shannon. I go, dog, you got to tell me what was going on. And I don't think we ever put this there. I've since told the story. He's going, man, all I do is get my stance, and I go, 316-582-281, boom, bam. Next play, 316-581-281, bam.
Is that his girl's phone number?
Turns out it was Derek Thomas's girlfriend. He was giving Derek Thomas' girlfriend.
Oh.
And you know what it was?
Whoa.
It was her number.
Yeah.
It
was right.
And so every time, so Shannon would get down, he's in his stance. No one can see, no one knows anything what Shannon's doing.
Yeah.
And Derek Thomas is just freaking out. He said, dude, I was saying his girlfriend's phone number, and it was.
You know, it's funny you say that because I had a coach that I'll leave unnamed as a young player. He would have the young guys that weren't doing anything. It was your job to present a scouting report on all the players' families and like any weird information you could get about him for the other guys in the room. You'd give a scouting report on it. Hey, he's been married here. He's been divorced 3 times. He's got 2 kids that live out of wedlock, whatever, you know. And we would give scouting reports on these guys for the starters to utilize.
Just to get in their heads.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Real quickly, before we get to no dumb questions, Manny asked on the text line, and I want to know too, would Peyton Manning ever talk trash? No,
not really.
He was.
I mean,
every time he was mic'd up, he didn't really.
He talked trash to his own guys. I mean, I don't know if that was trash, but it was accountability. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then again, the year that I played with Peyton, I think that was a different human being.
Yeah.
I mean, that was not the same Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
He was in a weird place mentally. Things were just not going well. It was a weird year. So I'm not even sure that I knew the true Peyton Manning.
Interesting. All right. See, those are good stories. I appreciate you, fellas. All right, let's get to no dumb questions.
Columbus, Hastings, and Dover present No Dumb Questions. This is your safe space. Send us your not dumb question now. Tweet it, text it, or Twitch it. It's No Dumb Questions with PhD on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
You can send your no dumb questions in on the text line or the Twitch chat. I like this first one from Lambright. Really easy. Whiskey, scotch, or vodka? Which one do you drink, doctors?
Boy, you're talking to the wrong crew here.
I mean, I know, but at one point you got.
Well, let's just say I no longer drink, but I used to love whiskey.
There you go.
Yeah, I used to love whiskey.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't give shout outs, but like, did you have? Is it like Scotch whiskey
well,
or
you know, like the everyday, like not super expensive, but also not like entry level.
Sure.
Jameson was pretty much my go-to.
Okay, all right. In your days, Scott?
I like a good Michner's 10-year over.
Well, now we're talking about something else here, okay?
So I'm a bourbon guy.
Scott's got 7 Christmas trees in his 25 rooms, and he only drinks 10 years.
And he's only drinking 10 years?
Yeah. No, it's good. Full Rose of single barrel's pretty good. Affordable.
And listen, I turned my boy on to Scotch. I'm a Scotch guy. I turned my roommate on to Scotch.
I did love some good tequila, too. I'm not going to lie.
All right. I like this one, too, from Paul on the Twitch line. NDQ, would you rather drink a warm beer or eat a cold hamburger?
Cold hamburger.
I don't think I have an issue with the cold hamburger. Like, I'm actually trying to think about it. Like, if somebody gave me a hamburger straight out of the fridge, as Scott pulls out his sausage, that was already made. Yeah. Well, first off,
he literally has cold hamburger.
It's breakfast sausage.
It's breakfast sausage.
Yeah, absolutely. I want one. 100% I want one. Are you kidding me? I'm an offensive lineman.
What is with, like, I worked with Vic the other week and he just pulled 2 plums out of his pocket as we were on air. Like, what is with you guys?
Those are plums?
I don't think I've ever brought cold sausage to work, though.
You bring cold sausage to work every day. What are you talking about?
Well, there's one.
Oh, come on.
So cold hamburger over warm beer,
I can't do warm beer.
Do you know the only thing better than an ice cold beer? A free ice cold beer.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Well done.
Okay, how about this one? NDQ doctors, and I don't even think this is a dumb question. Should we be more concerned about the CU offensive line or defensive line?
I don't know. Everybody keeps asking me, what do I think about Colorado? I don't know. I don't know the players. I don't know their names. I don't know where they're from. I don't know anything. I'll tell you this. Watching the spring game, that defense was disturbing. I mean, that was a disturbingly small defense. Now,
and coming off season of a bad defense.
There's about 3 of those guys that were from the spring game that are still on the roster. So I really have no clue. I know that CU's got a couple tall offensive tackles that look the part. Dion's kind of been talking up his offensive line here a little bit like he likes them. But, dude, I don't know a thing about Colorado football, and anybody that tells you that they do is lying to you.
I will say this for this weekend, offensive line, because go and look at what TCU is going to throw at them.
Yeah.
I mean, TCU's going to throw at – they had a dude – I was listening to somebody on Nate and Andy's show yesterday, the color guy for TCU radio football.
Yeah.
And basically, they started in that Michigan game a 17 or 18-year-old freshman, true freshman, who plays nose tackle at 6'2", 320, and was dominating the guy on the offensive line of Michigan that was a high draft pick in the NFL. And he was a freshman.
Yeah.
True freshman.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to go against those Texas boys, you better make sure you got the size for it.
TCU. So this week in particular, I'm more worried about the offensive line because, one, your best player on that team is probably your quarterback, and you're going this week against a talented defensive line at TCU.
I've never felt more blind going into the season. Now, first off, small technicality, their best player is Travis Hunter, but after that, it's the QB. But I've never felt more blind.
Travis Hunter ain't going to get able to do anything if that quarterback can't have time to throw to him.
Your food, would you?
I mean, you.
Well, a cold sausage. My goodness.
See, Rob, I don't even notice when he does that anymore because I just call that a Tuesday. I mean that's an all day everything, right? So I don't even notice when he does that.
I trained
actually Thursday, but
I trained under Irvin Joe. So Irvin Joe said it was okay.
Mouthful of cold sausage is fine.
That right there could be a book. You know, my autobiography. A mouthful of cold sausage.
Oh my God.
The life and times of Scott Hastings.
All right. Thank you for all your
this week. But seriously, would you say this week offensive line?
I don't. I mean, you make sense, but based off what my eyeballs told me in the spring game, and it means nothing because those aren't the same players. My biggest concern would be the defensive line. But again, I don't know what we're gonna have out there. You make sense though, just your rationale behind it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your no dumb questions. We appreciate that. Don't forget to text in the keyword. It is rain. Text in rain.
No, it's actually cold sausage.
No, it's not. It's rain. If you, it is not cold sausage or old meat. It's rain if you want to go see Luke Bryan in Vegas. So text that in to make sure you can get entered to win. When we come back, I've got a baseball question for you guys on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Hey guys, are you tired of not looking good, feeling as good, sleeping as good as you want to? Well, if so, check out my friends at Revitalized Health. Tyler here, and I've been working with them for 7 years. Why have I been working with them for 7 years? Because they made a huge difference in my life, just like they will for you. You're going to look better, feel better, sleep better than you have in years. Whether it's peptide therapy, testosterone, hormone replacement, medical weight loss options, they've got you covered. They're just going to help you feel better than you have in a long, long time. They've got 3 locations, so check them out online at revitalized-health.com.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. It's Columbus, Hastings, and Dover. Of course, Scott Hastings and Tyler Columbus. And I'm Rob Trujillo, filling in for Josh Dover. And I want to ask you guys a baseball question.
Huh?
I know. Weird, isn't it?
As the season started?
Yeah, ended almost, actually. Rockies lose last night to the Atlanta Braves. And the Braves now, by far, the best team in the league. 87 wins, and all the articles I read say that they think that they're just a juggernaut, which is great. Okay. Makes me think about this, because we have this conversation when it comes to teams like the Lakers and the Cowboys. Would you rather see them good or bad because you hate them? And no doubt, I think it's better for the league if they're good, but I don't like seeing the Lakers being good. And you have kind of an interesting dichotomy in baseball right now, where there's 4 teams that have over 80 wins already. 2 in the NL are Atlanta and
Dodgers.
Los Angeles.
Oh.
And the 2 in the AL are
the same division.
Are the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. Not necessarily your traditional powerhouses. In fact, your traditional powerhouses, Boston and New York, are in the cellar of that division. So I ask you guys, as fans
and
now,
yet the Red Sox are second to last in that division. They're still above 500.
Yep. But as fans now, do you like it better NL style when the team that have always been around and always been really good are really good? Or do you like it better AL style when there's some new blood, some up and comers?
I think that's a unique one with Baltimore because there's so much history behind that team that I think it's cool seeing Baltimore good, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I am a believer that I like seeing blue bloods be blue bloods. You know what? As much as I hate Nebraska, I'd like to see him good at football again. I would because it makes it more fun. And then when you beat them, it's even better. Obviously, I like to see Colorado be good, but nobody cares about Colorado. I like seeing the best teams, the most attractive teams continue to be good because it's easier to hate them when they're good. It's hard to maintain hate when a team becomes bad.
Scotty?
Well, we're looking at the Yankees, and you kind of cheer for them to be bad, and yet they're only 3 games under 500. And who knows? Get a hot September, they can at least be 10 or 12 games above 500. You ain't got a chance in Colorado. The Orioles were one of my teams when I was a kid growing up, in what, the decade of the 70s. I mean, they were probably one of the dominant AL teams, right, with Brooks Robinson and Boog Powell and Jim Palmer and all those guys over there. But they've been, over the last, 8-10 years, pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would say
up good a couple years ago, and then
since the turn of the century, they had like 2 or 3 good years.
Yeah, they've struggled down this stretch. So I think it's good. I mean, that was a baseball community. That's still a great division. And Tampa Bay has been the outlier of all, in my opinion, pro baseball because they'll be great. And then they'll suck for like 8 years. And then they'll be great.
Yeah.
And then they'll win a World Series. And then they'll suck for a bunch of years.
That's what happens with draft and develop teams, though.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have the upswing.
Wouldn't you rather have that?
I would.
You would or wouldn't?
I would.
Yeah, I would too. And that's why you look at the Rockies and I mean, why can't you just take a model of Tampa Bay? We draft, develop. We ain't got it this year. We've got a whole minor league system ready. Let's get rid of these guys and bring some new guys in.
And to your point, if you look at the AL playoffs right now, it's Baltimore, bunch of young guys, draft and develop. Seattle, they got a couple guys, but draft and develop.
And they were horrible just 2 or 3 years ago too.
Minnesota,
had a pitcher.
Minnesota's the 3rd leading division team.
Well, listen,
Draft and develop.
recent evidence from the Rockies is that maybe they're actually trying to do that. Maybe they're trying to do the right thing. They are trying to reset. They're trying to get value for anybody that has value so that they can reset. But they said that they were going to go to that model. Dick Monfort got up in front of the media and he talked about Tampa and he talked about how that's the model that Colorado is going to have to play with. And then they went out and they signed Chris Bryant. And it was like, huh? Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought the model was you're going to go to the small ball. I thought you were going to go into the draft and develop, and then you go out and you sign one of the biggest contracts with a dude that didn't even have any interest in any other team.
Who hadn't played well in Chicago in the last 2 years or stayed healthy in the previous 2 years before you signed him.
which made it very confusing because Dick Monfort got up there in front of everybody and said, Colorado can't get the best free agents.
Well,
they're not a big enough market. They can't do it.
Well, and they still didn't. I mean, Chris Bryant, by name.
But they gave out the money.
Yeah, they gave out big player money, and Chris Bryant had a good name. Listen, he had some great years in Chicago, and the Rockies loved him forever and ever. Even when he was still a viable player, they were in love with him. And I just think they just panicked and said, hey, we can get him now. And we got to have a name on this team. We have to have an all-star name on this franchise, but you end up paying for it. And to be honest with you, what you're paying for it, why not just keep Arenado around?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that plus the $50 million that you sent to St. Louis to try to get better prospects.
Will that trade to St. Louis, Arenado trade for St. Louis, ever truly be figured out and or completely understood by Rockies fans?
I don't know.
By fans, I don't know.
Or media?
But it's pretty simple. It's not tough. You had a guy that genuinely wanted to be loyal to the team. And that Nolan Arenado wanted to do that. And at the time when he gets to free agency, you promise him the moon in the back. Yeah, we're going to give you the money, which is kind of like everybody's like, well, don't sign the deal if you don't want to play there. It's not as simple as that. This is not a hardened situation. This is not like when Arenado signed that contract, he didn't pick up an option so that he could force his way out of town. He signed the contract because he was promised that things were going to be different, that he was going to be handed different things, and then he just never did it.
I think I wasn't even planning on talking about the Arenado trade in this break, and I think you just naturally gravitate towards it because it's such a big mistake on their part. And yes, I think the fans, I mean, I still haven't forgiven him for it. My friend the other day asked me if I wanted to go to a Rockies game. I'm like, I'm not giving him my money.
I don't get the fans, and I know there's a lot of them, but I don't get the fans that hate Nolan Arenado. I just don't get it.
Oh, I don't hate Nolan Arenado. I hate the Rockies. But I'm not giving them my money.
There are a lot of Rocky fans out there that hate Nolan.
Hey, you got to go back. Listen, he signs it, and they supposedly, according to him, promised to do, let's develop some guys. Let's get this thing going and be focused going up. And I think Arenado would have stuck around for a couple tough years if all of a sudden, like this Goodman kid came in. I watched him play the other day. They may have got some with him. Maybe that's one of the new developed guys you're bringing in. Might be pretty good. Who knows?
Do we have two of the worst trades of all time right here from two of our franchises locally? Nolan Arenado, and Russell Wilson.
Oh, no, I wouldn't.
Now, Russ is not a finished product, so maybe it'll end up being great. Maybe we'll win a Super Bowl, and maybe we'll never talk about it as a failed trade. But look, you got to keep it real as it sits today. Russell Wilson's trade looks like one of the worst trades in NFL history.
Oh, I think it's fair to say it's a bad trade. I don't know if it's one of the worst trades in NFL history.
You do realize that at the time that they made that trade, it was the most expensive trade in the history of the NFL.
What was the
Nobody had ever given up more for a player than what Denver gave up for Russ.
What was the Herschel Walker trade? Isn't that the one that everybody points to? Because it was the Cowboys and they drafted
Minnesota. Which is the funny thing is Herschel actually had 2 or 3 really good years, but basically Minnesota gave Dallas 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, they gave him the picks they used to draft like Emmett, Irvin, and Aikman. In those, so like that to me is what I think of when I think of worst trades of all time. I think you got to look at what those picks turn into for Seattle.
No, you don't, because who knows what you would have done with those picks. Whatever Seattle did with those picks doesn't mean jack squat. That doesn't mean that you were going to draft those guys.
Hit us up on the text line in the Twitch chat. Do you think it's already one of the worst trades of all time? I don't know that I would go there because you chose to sign the extension.
Did not change. And I'm with Scott. I actually really do believe that Russ is going to play much better football this year. I don't think he's ever going to be elite again, but I think he'll play much better football. But if things did not change and you had another year or two of football for Russ like you had last year, this would go down as the worst trade in NFL history.
Yeah. It's something you got to keep an eye on. That's where I would mark it right now. But he comes back and plays at a Pro Bowl level the next 2 or 3 years. Then
it's a great trade.
Then it's a good trade.
It's a great trade. Yeah. So it's an incomplete grade.
But it's not even a great trade unless you win a Super Bowl. That becomes great. If he becomes a Pro Bowl type player, 2 of the next 3 years or the next 3 years, then it's a good trade.
Yeah, it's definitely like getting it to a great trade is a heavy lift.
That's a Super Bowl. That to me is a Super Bowl.
Getting it to a good trade is even tough. I'm just saying I don't think it's the worst trade of all time, but it could get there.
I'd say find a team that gave up more.
The Ricky Williams trade is coming up on the text chat.
Yeah, from New Orleans.
They traded a whole draft for Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
You know? So there's a couple others out there, but it's an interesting question. Let us know what you think.
A story that none of you guys may have ever heard, but when Magic Johnson played at Michigan State, Jack McCluskey was a GM of Detroit at the time, offered every single player on the roster for Magic. And the Lakers turned it down.
Damn.
Every single player. That was going to be a 12-1 trade. And the Lakers went, nah.
And yet the Lakers were still probably right.
And the Lakers are still, no, you know what they were? Absolutely right.
Yeah, 100%. All right, on the other side, we got to talk a little bit about this Bronco team and the leadership that they might have. We'll do that next on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. just going to let this ride for a little bit.
Gonna go to the place that's the best. When I lay me down to going up to the spirit.
Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Columbus, Hastings, and Dover. Nelly picking the songs behind the glass. Cruising a little bit on this Thursday afternoon. I do want to talk about the Broncos captains and where we think that leadership will land. But I kind of wanted to ask you this question too, and maybe I'll do this here and we'll talk about the captains on the other side. So Juwan Mitchell, Juju is what they call him, recently headed up to Colorado, transferred from Tennessee, was their leading tackler last year, and transferred to CU literally like last week. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you guys is, how long does it take somebody like that, who plays an instinctual position like linebacker, but also has to know the defense, know where to be, maybe even call the defense? TP, how long do you think it takes a guy like that to get situated? And do you think he can make an impact early in the season? Or is this something that we're talking about, like, he's probably not going to get a whole lot of playing time right off the bat?
When did you say he got here?
Literally a week ago.
A week ago. I think he could be in packages this week. He could play football this week. Can he call the plays? No. Can he be an every down guy? No. But on the defensive side of the ball, man, I say this all the time, and I sort of say it tongue-in-cheek, a little bit facetious, but there's truth behind every joke in the world, right? I think you could pick up a defense within a week. I really do. I mean, it is not difficult. You've got your zone, and it doesn't. A cover three is a cover three. It doesn't matter what team you're playing on. Are there different nuances of how you try to hide it? Sure. How you try to disguise it. But the bottom line is, X's and O's don't change that much. And on the defensive side of the ball in particular, their playbook is looking like that. It's about a half inch. You look at an offensive playbook, it's looking like a freaking encyclopedia.
And it's an instinctual position, right? I mean, it's a feel on the field. What do you think,
linebacker guy?
Yeah, linebacker.
Well, first of all, if he led Tennessee in tackles, he probably can play.
Oh, yeah, he can definitely play.
Sounds like somebody we can use.
Yeah, I mean, once you say, we asked a while ago, what are we worried about this weekend? You know, the offensive and defensive line. Well, if the defensive line can just keep a little bit off of you. I mean, this guy's obviously played against teams like Georgia and Auburn and LSU or Alabama or a combination of those guys. And Tennessee was pretty good last year. Tennessee got better last year, didn't they?
Yeah. A lot better.
So I listen. There's certain guys. I'll throw this to Tyler. There's certain guys you're gonna find a way to get up to speed.
Yeah,
there are certain. I mean, there's certain knuckles. If I had eligibility and I came in, they go, Scott, take your time. Just sit there. Here's a cool sweatsuit. We'll watch you there. Coach will meet with you on Tuesday. Blah, 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 blah. Dude comes up. Hey, here's the leading tackler for Tennessee. He wants to play with us.
Hey, we're gonna meet you in 3 hours after practice.
Yeah.
We got some one-on-one time designed just for
here's
you.
Here's your LB coach is going to sit in with you with the defensive coordinator. We're going to go over. Here's our packages. Here's what it looks like. And what I don't even know people knows. I'm sure Dion does the same thing. Every single practice, and the first time I ever learned this was Shanahan did, every single practice is taped. And Shanahan told me the reason I did that, because if we bring a trade in or somebody, free agent or whatever, we're going to show them here's what our looks are.
So you know what
I think?
I think what you're implying is not the practice. What Shanahan did different than every other coach I had, he taped every meeting.
He taped every meeting too, and that was for coaches.
I mean, every coach tapes the practice. That's not unique to Mike Shanahan, but what he did,
he taped every meeting.
And now, his justification for it was that if a new guy comes in, hey, we're going to give him the last week's worth of meetings and just go watch it. And I'm sure that happened every now and then. I think you just wanted to see what we're doing in our rooms.
I was going to say, see if anybody's sleeping.
I'm being dead serious because we would have those times. Now, he would always tell us, he would say, look, guys, you do have a camera in your room, but I tell your coaches all the time, you don't want me to hear something, go turn it off. Go turn it off. And we would turn that camera off all the time.
Really?
We would have closed door meetings, and our offensive line coach would usually be the one that does it. He'd walk up to that thing. He'd either unplug it or he'd turn it off, and we'd have a conversation. And then when it's time to start teaching again, he turns it back on.
So I asked the question not only for Juju, which I think is an interesting case up at CU, getting him up to speed, but also for your Denver Broncos. We just went through waiver wire cuts, and they ended up with only 4 wide receivers on the roster, one of which won't play the first week. And so you got guys like Philip Dorsett or Kenny Sills that have signed to the team, albeit on the practice squad, but how quickly can those guys get up to speed? Is that something where they could actually contribute week 1? To me, it sounds like a pretty tall task to ask a guy to come in on week 1 and make a difference.
I mean, if you guys think back to what I said yesterday of the guys that you wanted to look for on the waiver wire, and I brought up Isaiah McKenzie yesterday.
Sure.
He's off the market now, got signed by the Colts. But I brought him up because I said, look, you're not going to find somebody that's better than Jerry Jeudy. You're not going to find somebody that's better than Cortland Sutton. You're looking for guys that can fill niche roles on this football team. Can a wide receiver come in within 1 week and fill a niche role? Yeah, 100%. No question about it. I mean, not even debatable. You give them 5 or 6 plays. You tell them this is what you're going to run. Here's the route concepts. Here's what we need you to do. Absolutely, they can. Is it realistic to think that they could be out there for 30, 45 snaps of the game? Of course it's not. But if you keep things simple, stupid, which is always good advice, guys can thrive in a very short amount of time.
Scotty, when you were calling the games, do you remember them signing anybody and them making an impact that week 1?
Well, no. Well, I tell you what, they were also good at if New England cut somebody, they were picking that dude up just so they can go over what are the calls. What do New England like to call Oakland?
Well, and Dorsett came from Las Vegas.
When I had the craziest week ever. I got cut by Denver, got claimed by Houston, Seattle, and Detroit. I had to go to Detroit because they had the worst record. I was there for 5 or 6 days. They traded me to Seattle. So Seattle traded for me for a couple of reasons. Well, one reason in particular. I knew the system. Jeremy Bates was the offensive coordinator, and he needed somebody that could start at left tackle on a moment's notice. Now, the reason I could do that is because I knew the system. An offensive lineman, generally speaking, is not going to be able to do that on a moment's notice. I could because I knew the system like the back of my hand. But to Scott's point, you know what I did that week? I had a meeting with every single coach. I got called up to the staff meeting. What was I doing? I was on the whiteboard giving every single call I knew from the Denver Broncos. I was snitching like crazy. Hell yeah, I was snitching. I didn't care. Are you kidding me? I don't have any loyalty to the Denver Broncos anymore. I'm a Seattle Seahawk now. I want to beat the brains out of these dudes. And I'm writing it all up there. And it's debatable how much information or how useful that actually is.
Or that they didn't know.
Or that they didn't know. But did I give a couple code words here or there that might have helped out our defensive line? Maybe. Big picture, I probably didn't give them any real value, but I gave them everything I had.
Well, the Raiders signed a Bronco wide receiver, and the Broncos signed a Raider wide receiver. So to your point, Scotty, I mean, it's worth something.
Yeah, I guarantee you they're trying to figure out something, trying to learn something from the other team.
Of course.
That's the game within the game. You know, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. That has gone on since probably forever. The key is now, is this guy that you picked up, is he good enough to stay on this team for 2 or 3 weeks? If Jerry Jeudy's out 3 weeks, for example, can't play against the Raiders, can't play against the Commodores. Okay, is he, or Commanders, I don't even know what they are. Is he good enough to stick, or was he just brought in?
They're thinking about going back to the old name, by the way.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
That would be crazy.
They should just change to the Commodores and then have Lionel Richie come hang out at the games. That's better than whatever they have now.
Are you ready for some football? And have Lionel Richie singing it.
Their defense is built like a brick.
Now, Tyler, you
probably
know more about this than I do, but I heard they don't have the trademark for Commanders. Is the problem?
Oh, I don't know anything about that. Is that true?
Really? Yeah, I heard that they're fighting in court,
and you got a new ownership group who wants to make money.
Right, and the NFL is not going to let them keep the name if they don't own every piece.
I'm just going to tell you right now. First off, the name sucks, so I'd get rid of it because the name sucks.
Yes.
But if I'm the new owner and I buy that franchise, I'm starting from scratch, buddy. I might even change the color scheme.
I think you should.
Now I think they've got incredible uniforms. I think they're some of the most. They're one of the best legacy uniforms in the NFL that they butchered last year by going to get these brand new looks. Didn't hold on to the legacy at all. Terrible idea. I'd go back to the old name, or not the old name. I'd go back to the old color scheme, but I would come up with a brand new name and start from scratch.
I would get rid of the color scheme just to get rid of the idea of it altogether. Like trying to hold on to the color scheme is trying to remember that, and I don't.
Dude, but there's still cool history with that franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
there is a lot of. Can you imagine Green Bay getting rid of their color scheme?
I get what you're saying, but you're in this weird spot where you're halfway through it right now. You got a new owner, and you're halfway through a rebrand. You know what I mean?
But
like,
what if you could find a way to get rid of like the last 15 years and honor? Because at one time that was the greatest franchise in the NFL. It was
one of them for sure.
I would say the greatest. I mean, when Gibbs was running the show and they got 3 of them things, it was one of, if not the greatest. I think it'd be foolish to throw away all that history.
I don't think you have to throw it away. I think.
Well, don't you have in there a Native American nation that is suing to bring the Redskins name back?
Well, I'll tell you this, and this is not a political stance. I'm just informing you of what happened when I played for that team. Okay, that the name was under duress for years and years and years. There was a lot of pressure to change the name. Dan Snyder would bring in. He would bring in Native Americans that would speak to us and educate us from their point of view about why it was an honor for them to have that name. Now, were there others that said the complete opposite? Of course there was. Absolutely. I'm not picking a side here. I'm just telling you that we would have Native Americans come in, and when they were done speaking, you're like, hell yeah, I'm proud to represent, you know?
Yeah.
But was there another side to the story? Of course.
I feel like you could find tribe that was native to that area and ask them permission if you could use their name, and just like the Florida State Seminoles, actually pay homage to whoever that is, whether it's, I don't know what tribe is around there, but the Iroquois or whoever, you know what I mean? And instead of calling it the Redskins, you call it.
I'm not trying to get political here, but like, why are the Chiefs allowed to be the Chiefs?
Well, chief is not a derogatory term. It's just a term about. That's what their leader was called, was a chief.
Why did the Cleveland
Redskin
Indians
is derogatory. Indian is derogatory.
Indian is derogatory?
There's a group called the Native American Guardians Association. And there was a podcast with them. A guy's named Bill Dykeman joined in conversation. The reason we're coming forward now is there's a new ownership, which therefore means new opportunity. The name was taken away under false pretense and a lot of inaccurate claiming racism and whatnot. Washington dropped the name in 2020 of claims of racism, and the Native American Guardians Association is pushing for the brand to come back. He says right here, the term Redskin is actually a status symbol of a warrior, nothing else. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. It's about warriors who are allowed to participate in the blood moon ceremony and paint their skin red for battle. Our fight song even says braves on the warpath.
It's interesting. I mean, listen, I understand that not everybody feels the same way about it, but if it offends some people, I mean, I just don't see the NFL. If it offends
see the NFL,
any,
don't let them go back.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's any
way.
chance.
No stinking way.
After they've gotten rid of it, I don't think there's.
But
any
there isn't
chance
now a Native American group trying to get it back.
Oh, I'm telling you,
called that.
They would come.
Why not just be the
team.
Warriors?
Cherokee or something like that too. Like, can you not?
Cherokee's a nation.
That's what I'm saying. Go to one of the nations and get permission to use it.
This is where I just legitimately get confused on what's offensive and what's not. And I'm not trying to be naive. I'm not trying to be dumb or trying to be rude about anything. I just literally don't like. What is the difference between the Cleveland Indians and the Kansas City Chiefs?
The Cleveland Indians aren't no more either, though.
Well, that's my point.
Indian, the term was considered derogatory because they thought they landed in India and called them Indians, but they're not. They're Native Americans.
The bigger problem was the logo.
And
the team logo.
So the logo,
they're Americans.
Chief Wahoo, that was the problem.
The logo, I get. Absolutely. The name itself, I don't know.
Well, they don't go by Indians. They go by Native Americans. That is part of it.
Well, they're Americans. They're the first Americans. I haven't understood the Native, because guess what? Where were you born?
I mean, I get what you're saying.
You're a Native American. They were first Americans. That's it. That's what I would
from Mexico.
I would call them first Americans. That's what they were.
Grim Maggot says on Twitch, and I think this is something that we could all get behind. Why don't we just all agree to set fire to FedEx Field? Because that place is dumb.
You know what's funny about that? I was talking to Kerry Penner about that just the other day. I had that conversation because we were looking at the stadium and all the money that they're pouring into it, which is unbelievable. Because listen, I do believe there'll be a new stadium here relatively quickly, and that they just poured $100 million into this stadium. And I brought up FedEx Field. I said, that stadium was built, I think, 1 or 2 years before Mile High was built. And that is
Not
the
long,
biggest.
yeah.
That is the biggest dump. And like they needed to blow that thing up 15 years ago.
You got water mains busting on the field, railings breaking as fans are trying to lean over and get high fives.
She couldn't believe it when I told her that it was built just a year or two ahead of Mile High because she'd been out there. She's like, "Oh my gosh, that thing was built like the same time." I said, "Yeah," but that's what the Broncos have always done well. The naming rights, they've always poured that money directly back into the stadium to keep it updated.
The Arrowhead Stadium was designed and actually presented to Denver for their stadium, and they chose and went with the original Mile High Stadium. But so that stadium is, I mean, that's got to be one of the oldest, kind of still natural, I mean, to what it once was. I mean, I know they've added boxes and some different stuff to it, but I mean, that stadium's got to be up one of the oldest stadiums, isn't it?
Well, and it's interesting because when you look at these stadiums, you're talking about Lambeau Field, which I think they've done a good job renovating. Soldier Field, which I think they've done a terrible job renovating.
Oh my gosh, that was Lambeau. They've done a decent job of holding on to the heritage of the stadium, but Soldier Field, that is a futuristic spaceship that was tossed inside of a Roman Coliseum.
That's what everybody says. That it looks like a spaceship landed on top of it.
Yes.
It was built. Soldier Field was built in 1924.
How are the insides? Did you ever play there? Did you play a game
tons
there?
Tons.
What's it like? Is it
weird.
Still?
It's weird viewing angles. They've got like the club level is like super tiny. The whole thing is just bizarre. I literally can't describe it any other way than it feels like you're in like a year 3000 a spaceship inside of an old school Roman Coliseum.
Because one of the things that people talk about when they talk about like Wrigley is that like underneath the stadium, the areas for players and stuff like that, it's tight. Like it is uncomfortable to go play a game there. You don't have the same
you
amenities
haven't been to a Red
that
Sox
you had.
game?
No, I haven't actually.
Not a fun viewing experience, and I'm being dead serious.
Yeah.
But an incredible stadium that it would be a travesty for them to ever change it.
Yeah. And did you feel that way as a player too, though? Like player amenities? Was it weirder at like Soldier Field in the away locker room than it was anywhere else?
No, I mean as a player, we're just going out on the gridiron, man. I mean that's where we're working.
Even locker rooms and stuff like that, though.
Oh, of course there were good locker rooms and bad locker rooms. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Lambeau used to be bad. I was in that one. Here's the funny thing. So it goes Chicago Stadium or Chicago Field, whatever it's called. Soldier Field. Lambeau, Arrowhead.
Yeah.
That's the third oldest is still used in the NFL.
Well, and they're talking about getting rid of Soldier Field.
They're fighting with the city, tax revenue and everything else, and going to move it to the suburbs.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're talking about all this history and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, one of them, all of a sudden, boop, right out the door. I don't think they'll ever get rid of Lambeau. And I think, I feel like they're going to keep just doing renovations to Arrowhead. I don't think they'll ever get rid of it. But it's kind of shocking to see one of those legacy stadiums possibly going away. I feel like that's really strange. All right.
Well, listen, in baseball, White Sox Stadium, even though they had terrible views in places, I mean, that was a legacy stadium. They got rid of it. Got a new one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they do it from time to time.
But I know, right? Yeah. There was beams everywhere. Yeah. But Wrigley has beams.
And yeah, same thing at Fenway. Isn't it the same problem? You could be sitting behind a pole essentially and not be able to see anything.
Yeah, they're usually the cheapest seat in the house, but that'd be kind of fun to sit there one game just to say you did.
Right, exactly. All right, don't forget, you have a chance to win airfare for two nights stay at Resort World and tickets to see Luke Bryan's show at Resort World Theater in Vegas by texting in the keyword each day. The keyword for today is rain. Text that in. You'll be entered to win the grand prize. And on top of that, maybe a $50 gift card to 303 Sports Grill in Littleton. Coming up next, it's your Daily Dose on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here for the best sports book in Colorado. That's Superbook Sports. You're going to love the Superbook app. If you haven't downloaded it, do it today. Matter of fact, when you download it, sign up using promo code Columbus. Get yourself up to a $250 first bet deposit bonus. Listen, guys, I always advocate for fun, safe, responsible gambling. There's zero reason to ever get yourself stressed out. Having fun is the name of the game. But when you sign up using promo code Columbus, get yourself up to $250 first bet deposit bonus. That's a relatively stress-free way to get yourself started. Hey, you're gambling on the house money, right? What's better than that? Superbook's got the best odds in the industry because they got the best odds makers in the industry. They're live on site out in Vegas, setting all their prices in person. No computer, no silly formula, just a team of the world's best odds makers giving you the most friendly lines so that you can make the most money possible. Visit them online at superbook.com to wager and win. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Altitude Sports Radio, 92.5, Columbus, Hastings, and Dover. We've got, I'm Rob Trujillo sitting in for Josh Dover. And we've got Steve Nelson sitting in for DT, but we'll do the Daily Dose anyway. So, Nelly, what do you got for us first on the Daily Dose?
Well, first, a few segments ago, Tyler was talking about how the best trash talker he ever faced in the NFL was Phillip Rivers. And that sent me down a rabbit hole of very clean, no bleeps required trash talk from Phillip Rivers. And I pulled a clip here. This is a little compilation, but the first one happened, I think it was about 4 years ago. Rivers threw a 90-yard touchdown bomb against the
he
Jaguars.
just keeps saying that over and over.
He keeps chirping at, it was Yannick Ngakoue of the Jaguars who was down there to pick Phillip Rivers up off the ground. And so he starts yapping at him. But the first voice you'll hear telling him to shut up was actually the ref saying, quit yapping and get to the other end zone. And then he did not. He did quite the opposite. So here's some of Phil's best work.
He's going for
Hey, 17, you see I ain't talking, right? Stay humble, bro.
You know he's right.
Stay humble, cuz. Yeah, but don't do that by my ear. Don't do it by my ear now.
I will do my No.
Hey, 1-7. I heard that you after the game. 17, just keep talking.
Hey, y'all can't play with 12, Greg. You can only play with 11, Greg. Run! Hey, run! Hey, run! Hey, run! Hey, run! Run! Hey, run!
third down. He's right there, 44. Threw it over his head. I can do that. He took a shot in his face. You saw everyone on the first. He threw it all day. That's a bad call. You must have thought it to throw it. What makes you change your mind? I don't get it. I never have understood it. You're going to talk yourself out of every call? Boom! Heck yeah, baby! I still hate him.
Dude, but isn't it? It's like warming. It's nice, friendly, warming trash talk. He just doesn't ever shut up. Is he annoying? Yeah, sure, he's a little bit annoying. But I like the way he would trash talk referees because he would do it in a way rather than like dog cussing him. He would kind of playfully jab at him, trying to keep a relationship going. At the same time, letting him know, hey, you're an idiot.
You heard him. You had to think that to throw that, right? They must have picked up a flag, and he's saying, you had to think it.
Hey, here's what I've always said about Phillip Rivers. I hate Bradley Van Pelt. I hate him, okay? But I would have loved him if he was my dude. I would have loved him if he was my QB, but he wasn't my QB, so I hated him, right? But if that dude was donning the black and gold, hell yeah, that'd be my dude.
Hall of Famer?
That's what Phillip Rivers is.
Sinful,
Hall of Famer?
Sinful on the Twitch chat. I can't stand Phillip Rivers with my entire body.
but imagine if he was your QB. You would love him.
Still hate him.
You would love him.
I don't know, Scotty. You think he's a Hall of Famer?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
He is. No, he's not a Hall of Famer. He absolutely has Hall of Fame talent. Did absolutely nothing throughout his career, and unfortunately folded in the biggest moments. I could not have more respect for Phillip Rivers. Absolutely is the type of dude that I consider a Hall of Famer, but no, he will not be.
Scotty?
Well, you got to look at his numbers. 463,000 yards, 421 touchdowns. Let's see, interceptions.
I don't know. I mean, listen, he won a lot of games, but he just
421 touchdowns, 209 interceptions.
I mean, one of the greatest regular season QBs in the history of the NFL.
65%. Well, listen, I agree. And the quarterback, and I've always said this, gets way too much credit when they win, too much blame when they lose. Same thing with head coaches. But not only did you have, Rivers there having success crushing people in the regular season, playing for that organization and that ownership group. And then you had Marty Schottenheimer coached him for 3-4 years, right? And Marty was known of choking away postseason games. And the late great Marty Schottenheimer. You got a postseason game where your star running back decides to suit up, play one snap, and then leaves and doesn't play and sits on the sideline the rest of the game. He had some bad luck. I go look at compare him to Marino's numbers.
I mean, it's a different league than between those two eras. But but was it that much different? I just don't. I think the talent that Rivers had on that team around him was really, really good, and they still couldn't get over the hump. And so I don't know. For me, I think it's
about this.
You got to draw the line somehow.
All I know is I couldn't respect him more. No way could I respect him any more than I already do.
Dan Marino is in the Super Bowl or in the Hall of Fame with 59% completion rate compared to 65. 2,000 less yards passing.
But that's tough. You can't compare
different eras, man.
Less touchdowns and more interceptions.
They're different eras. I mean, Dan Marino was doing that when nobody was doing that.
But then why, if you're saying different eras, then why did it take this year for our guy to get all the way to Randy Gradishar to get all the way to the seniors? Why? I mean, different eras. He led the era basically in tackles. 10 years, 2,000 tackles. That's 200 tackles a year. That's a linebacker's dream, 200 tackles in a year.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not. Why can't we judge?
But if you want to play that game, it almost goes.
But we didn't judge him in that era.
But it almost goes the opposite for him because everybody's running the hell out of the football.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So be consistent.
Yeah.
But still be consistent because that was that era. That was that era. So he should have been in the Hall of Fame because he was crushing everybody.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree.
So we can't use
there
the
are
era
oversights.
we can't use the era argument.
I feel like
better completion percentage, better touchdown to interception percentage, and more yards.
I think
already a Hall of Famer.
You got to draw the line somewhere, and I think he's very close to it, but I think that's where
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
He is in my mind for sure.
Interesting. Nelly, what's next?
A lot of schools are back in session, so I'm going to hit you boys with a pop quiz. Summer break's over. Back in 2016, Will Parks returned a blocked kick for a touchdown.
I already know the answer.
Do you know who blocked the kick?
Oh.
I thought it was his buddy.
No,
and it's on the tip of my tongue too. I'm not going to get
No, I don't know.
It was Justin Simmons.
Oh, that's right.
And so they were playing the Saints. And then, Tyler, the answer I think you thought I was going to ask is who was the kicker who kicked that?
Also, so it's Will Lutz.
Will Lutz.
But also a fun fact, in that year, the only, that was an extra point, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it was the only extra point he missed the whole season.
Yeah.
It was block kick.
Now, weren't Parks and Simmons both rookies that year?
I think so. And it was to win the game, too.
And remember, and then he had to go back and replay.
He stepped out of bounds.
Because Parks was wearing white shoes, and he's going real close to the sideline, and they had to go back. And they couldn't judge because the white shoes and the white sideline, play stood as called, and it was a touchdown.
And now, Justin Simmons and Will Lutz are teammates. And Lutz arrived in Denver, and yesterday somebody on the media asked him, have you talked to Justin Simmons about that play? Have you guys squashed your beef? Here's what Will had to say. And he did bring up the white cleats. You won't be surprised to hear.
Oh, I've already talked to him. That almost ended my career. I was like, hey, I didn't even do anything. But look, freak play. Great play by him. They did step out of bounds, but white shoes. So smart play by them. But, man, one of the craziest situations I've ever been a part of, that's for sure.
You're lying, Will. You're lying right to everybody. You know he didn't step out of bounds.
but I remember that because I think Parks and
it was one of the craziest ends to a game I've ever seen.
Awesome, though. You're jumping up and going down crazy.
Yeah.
I remember watching at home and you're looking, standing up. Can you see a separation? There's separation. I don't know what. Yeah, that was cool.
Nelly, what's next?
By the way, don't ask Will Lutz if Matt Holliday touched home plate in 2007.
He did. I don't want to hear it.
He's a replay truther, Will Lutz is.
He touched home plate.
By the way, we have a new gold standard for tight end contracts. According to Adam Schefter and his sources, TJ Hawkinson of the Minnesota Vikings will sign a 4-year, $68.5 million contract extension. We couldn't make it 0.5 higher. We were so close.
So close to it being nice.
But other details of the deal, $17.125 million annually, 42.5 of that is guaranteed of his contract. All of those numbers across the board in terms of annual value is record-breaking.
And let me ask you all this question. Did you ever think you lived, talking about eras, right? You just mentioned eras when we were talking about Rivers. Did you ever think we live in an era where a tight end would make considerably more than a running back?
It's pretty wild when you put it like that. It's definitely wild. TJ, in my opinion, is the closest thing that the NFL has to a Rob Gronkowski. He's probably the most complete tight end in the NFL today. He can run, he can block, he could catch, he could do it all, man. He had a standout season last year that was a bit of an anomaly for his career. I think he had close to 1,000 yards last year. And previously, he had great seasons, but nothing close to that. So they're building off what they got. Is he worth that much money? I don't know that any tight end is worth that much money.
Kittle, probably the only other one I'm thinking of in terms of a complete tight end.
Kittle's a great blocker, but I'll tell you right now, he drives his coaches nuts because he's
kind of crazy.
He's that dude that runs the wrong route 2 out of 4 plays, but on those 2 that he runs the wrong route, he scores a touchdown. And it's like, dude, can you just nice job, but can you just do what we told you to do?
It's interesting to me, though, that we talk about Hawkinson and Kittle as complete tight ends, and they're not making as much as the top wide receivers.
Well, that's
who are
good.
20 plus
but,
a year.
But Hawkins only played 5 years. So he's much younger than both those guys, isn't he?
You got his stats pulled up?
Than Kittle, yeah.
So I know last year he was close to 1,000. What was it previously?
Well, but he played. Remember last year he played with Detroit to start the season, Minnesota to finish the season. Got traded. Combined, he had 914 yards, 6 touchdowns. Combined, previously he went 367, 723, 583. With bad Detroit teams.
Yeah, so it was a bit of an anomaly year. Always good seasons, but that was an anomaly of a year.
Yeah, well, and finding those guys that can do both. Like that was part of the conversation we were having with Albert O and Dulcich and, all the Manhurts and all the blocking tight ends they brought in is, well, you neither of these guys can do both. So which is more valuable to you?
How about this? In the 7 games he played with Detroit last year, he had 26 receptions, 395.
Wow.
Played 10 games for Minnesota, had 60 receptions, 519 yards.
Wow.
That's Tyler's boy, Kirk Cousins, right there.
That's my dude.
That's your guy.
You know what you do? Find a guy that always gets open and hit him.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember him and Noah Fant were the same class coming out of Iowa. They were teammates. Both tight ends at Iowa.
Yeah, are you just trying to make us sad, or?
No, I mean, but
Hawkinson was taken before.
But coming into the draft, the storyline with those two guys is Hawkinson's the blocker, Noah Fant's the wide receiver. Well, Hawkinson's turned into the wide receiver also.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one to relive. Thanks for that, Tyler. Okay.
Is Noah Fant going to be back with Seattle?
Yeah.
And Noah Fant last year, for a tight end, he had 50 receptions.
How many yards?
486 yards, 9.7 a catch.
That's decent for a tight end. I mean, that's right.
4 touchdowns.
Where you wanted to be. All right. Don't forget, if you want to get in on the Luke Bryan contest, you have mere minutes to text in RAIN to the text line to get your entry in. We'll announce a winner to that next on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. It's Columbus, Hastings, and Dover. He is Scott Hastings. He's Tyler Columbus. I'm Rob Trujillo, or Dubs, filling in for Dover, so we can keep the PhD thing, you know? I like your guys' little shtick here.
Dubs and Dover.
Although I don't really fit in for the tallest radio show on the planet.
But you're taller than Dover. Dover's only 5'8".
Now we're just the big and tall show.
Wow.
What happened?
Wow. I'm giving you credit.
mean.
It's actually taller than Dover.
But I thought he was so short that I'd go right over his head.
No.
You know
just
what,
called him
TP?
fat.
Yeah, you called me fat and short in a matter of 15 seconds.
I did do that.
Yeah,
you know,
Look how big and thick he is.
when I stop making fun of you, it means I don't like you.
No, it's fine. I know I'm fat. It's I gotta hit the gym or at least stop hitting the fridge. We have a winner for our Luke Bryan contest in Vegas. This is a 303 Sports Grill gift card that you're winning. And of course, everybody who entered today will also be entered for the grand prize, which we'll pick tomorrow. Today's winner for the $50 gift card is Darlene Rodriguez. And Darlene, thank you so much for not having an incredibly difficult last name for me to pronounce. I don't know what it's been for the first couple days of the week, though.
The first 3 or 4 were tough.
They were tough. They were tough. So we appreciate you, Darlene Rodriguez, our winner
we
for
got
today.
one more time to do this. Going to do this tomorrow too, right?
Yep, one more time tomorrow, and then we will pick the grand prize winner as well.
So tomorrow we will be giving away another gift card and also the grand prize. So it'll be 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And also, Tyler, could you quickly give me another come on down there?
Come on down.
Oh, Bob. Okay. Oh,
yeah. Legend.
Passed away.
I know.
Okay, I'm making sure you know.
Why do you think I did it? It was an honor.
Make sure all your dogs and cats are neutered.
Yeah, help control the pet population.
Make sure Scott Hastings is neutered.
Yeah.
Well, it would have helped at one point.
Oh, boy.
All right.
But listen, let's be honest about Bob Barker. For every guy that ever watched that show, we watched it for one reason. We didn't care that we didn't care about the games. We cared about the presenters.
Are you talking about what's her name, Vanna White?
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
she wasn't on that one. But but they had
the Price is Right girls.
The Price is Right girls,
right.
And Bob, Price is Right girls.
I don't know. I read the article, Scott.
Listen, he's a hero for more than one reason. Okay?
Yeah.
Real quickly before we end the show, I saw this article and I just wanted your guys' quick take on it because I know you hate Kyler Murray.
You know what? I take pride in getting roasted. When Kyler Murray first came out, I was the biggest Kyler Murray hater ever. And I got roasted by absolutely everybody. And I take a lot of pride in being an original Kyler hater.
So apparently Josh Dobbs is going to start week 1 for the Cardinals. They traded for him like a week
Well,
ago.
that's unrelated to Kyler Murray, but I mean, Kyler Murray's probably going down the IR, and he won't play a snap the entire season.
That's what I was going to say. Is they're clearly tanking if they're going to start Josh Dobbs, a guy they traded for a week ago, instead of keeping Colt McCoy and starting him. Yeah, they're clearly tanking, which means that Kyler
it's also
it's
it's a financial deal with Kyler Murray because he's got, I forget what the number is, but I want to say it's like $90-some million in injury guarantee. So if he goes out there and he gets hurt, the club owes him an additional $90 million. So they know that they're going to move on from Kyler. There's never been a team more obviously tanking than the Arizona Cardinals right now. As you just mentioned, if you're trying to win a ball game in week 1, I promise you, Colt McCoy is giving you a better chance than Josh Dobbs,
who you traded for a week ago.
Right.
So, but my question for you guys is, like, where does Kyler go from here? You think anybody? I mean, it's
Baseball?
hard, right? It's hard to imagine a team saying, "Oh yeah, we'll take on that $250 million contract because we think you can win."
Listen, they and he didn't help himself any, and the team didn't help themselves any because you remember in the original contract he signed on that big extension. Said, and you will watch film for at least 30 minutes
but Scott,
a day.
The biggest mistake the team made was taking that out. They should have just.
But they got embarrassed because somebody in the front office sent that out. Said, "Look what was in this contract." Somebody sent that out.
Well, it's probably Kyler's agent.
Well, then if he did that, then he should be fired because it made Kyler look stupid.
Yeah.
And then when you remember, really kind of the last game you kind of remember him playing was that postseason game, and he's falling down in the end zone. He just flips the ball up. was it the Rams caught it, walks in for a touchdown. You're like, dude, what are you doing? And then you see, I got extension that says, make sure you have to study at least 30 minutes a day. I mean, that's what you tell your fourth grader.
Right? No, I don't know what comes next for Kyler Murray. I guess in theory he'd go play baseball, but the problem is that dude's not super motivated anyways. And as talented as he is, and yeah, I get it. He was drafted. He could have made hundreds of millions of dollars playing baseball also. Do you see Kyler Murray getting motivated to go get good at another sport at this point?
I mean, listen, there's a whole lot less like study involved in that. There's less practice, less study. Like you just go and lean on your physical gifts in baseball.
Well,
if he's got them, he's got them.
There's also different personalities of comfort. And I think that's one of the biggest fears of front offices in every single sport. If we give Tyler this big contract, does he get comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And there have been guys, you played with guys, I've played with guys, you've seen them in the league. They get that payday and they're like,
cool.
All done.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. And I remember a guy that was nothing in the NBA, and all of a sudden then I played with a teammate of his later in his career that basically all the dude was all on steroids, but he got big and jacked, dominated in the inside that year, gets a big contract, never heard from him ever again.
I think it happens more than people think. All right, Craigman and Lindahl's coming up next, but Tyler, I want to take a minute here for you to talk about something that's really near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, no question. So tomorrow, September 1st, is National Wear Teal Day. This is to help raise awareness for ovarian cancer. It is something that's very near and dear to my heart. Colorado Ovarian Cancer Alliance is an organization that I've worked with for 6 or 7 years now. I did lose my mom to stage 4 ovarian cancer. She had a 6-year battle. It's one of the most lethal, deadly diseases for women, not because it has to be, but because women don't find out until it's too late. Right. The majority of women that find out they're diagnosed with ovarian cancer find out in stage 3 or stage 4 because the signs and symptoms you wouldn't think of cancer. It's you're bloated, you can't poop, your stomach hurts. You've got ab pain. You can't pee. It's not stuff that you think is going to be directly related to ovarian cancer. And I'll never forget, my mom gained like 16 pounds in a week, in a week. And even then, she didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. It was just like, oh man, you must be constipated, right? So it's an incredibly deadly disease. I hosted an event called Petals Columbus to beat ovarian cancer for the last 3 years, and all the money went to Colorado Ovarian Cancer Alliance. Very proud to say we raised around $1 million in those 3 years for ovarian cancer awareness. I'm bringing it back next year, so we'll do it again next year. But if you got teal, put it on tomorrow. If you don't know somebody that's been affected by it, you will at some point in your life. So I ask everybody, if you own anything teal, please put it on tomorrow to help raise awareness for ovarian cancer.
And, we have a couple sister stations here, Cool 105 and Mix 100. They also work with Jody's Race, which is another great fundraiser.
That's a fundraiser for Colorado Ovarian Cancer Alliance.
And I just think the awareness, like you're saying, it's something that it's a very simple thing to get screened for, and the awareness is really the most important part.
But see, and that's the thing. If you find out in stage 1 or stage 2, very treatable, extremely treatable.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Most women wait too long until it's stage 3 or stage 4.
Well, so wear some teal tomorrow and make sure you spread the word about ovarian cancer.
Morning, so I won't forget.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to think. Do I got a? I think
you do. You've got a bag right out there from Colorado Ovarian Cancer Alliance.
Scotty, you could have just said that quietly to Nelly.
What was that one good running back? Real good running back for Jacksonville. Little short dude from UCLA.
Oh, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yeah. My son had a Maurice Jones-Drew Jaguar teal jersey.
There you go.
Maybe if I can find that.
I'd love to see it stuffed in it like a sausage. That'd be great.
See, now you just called me fat.
I did not.
I did not.
What goes around comes around, boys.
And I protected you.
No. Because I assumed your son isn't your size.
Don't act like you
He's
protected him.
6'5". He was 6'5", about 295.
Well, but I'm just saying, you're a big guy, just tall. You know what I mean? He's stacked, Scotty. I didn't call you fat.
After coming to your rescue and back a while ago.
Scotty, you know I love you.
Well, and Tyler loves you.
No, I don't.
Well said.
All right. Thank you guys for letting me sit in again. I really do have a great time with you guys in here. I appreciate you letting me fill in for Dover. As always, Nelly behind the glass, Grismer, you guys did an excellent job today.
Hey, y'all can't play with 12, Greg. Greg, you can only play with 11, Greg.
I still hate him. You can't tell me that you love him.
I love him.
It's gross. Get the bolo tie.
Hall of Famer.
Stop it. Not a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Fame.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
Should be.
All right, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, I'm sure. Kreckman and Lindahl are coming up next on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Ding dong. Oh, that's a wrap.